Hello, beautiful star family. Hold on, I want to see if Spirit wants me to do something. I just heard something. Did you want me to put a picture here? The picture that we took of this, do you want to put it here so they see that? Okay. So welcome, welcome, welcome everybody. It's live, it's real time. So I'm just going with the flow. So if you've never been here before, my name is Tallulah Kelly. I'm the magical medium. Welcome to this channel. Welcome to this live reading. I'm lighting a candle for all of us right now, for our higher selves, our guides, and all those who wish to be here today. It is summertime and it is hot, hot, hot. And where I live, it doesn't normally get this hot, especially this time of year. It's kind of rare. So, well, I should say that, but this whole summer, it's been interesting. It's been more hot than not. I'm praying that this is our last little push of heat because it was interesting. Alder and I were talking about how much he loves the sun. And I said, yeah, you were born on a Sunday. So you love the sun. It's like, you know, when it's hot out and it's sunny, he is just like the champion of champions. He can just, he's like the Energizer Bunny. But when the clouds come in and the cold comes in, it's not his friend. And it's interesting because I was born on a Monday, a moon day, and I tend to go more in the cold. I like the more, not cold, but that's why I moved to the Pacific Northwest, you know, and that's why I live in the sun belt of the Olympic Peninsula. So I still get the sun, but not too much heat. It kind of stays between like 45 and 85. And that's kind of a sweet spot. But it's interesting because this heat wave has made me not want to do anything. It's actually like been pulling me like to just rest and be still. And then I've been looking at the last week and it makes sense because, you know, sometimes we get it for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, but I'm in the middle of like a 5-day stretch right now. And that's a lot, especially when at night it's like not very cool. It's like a high of 62, which is nice because I live by the water, but it's yeah. So it's just interesting. So I don't know how you guys are feeling. Feel free to share how you're feeling. We're live, we're live, we're live. We're going to be taking questions from Spirit. I'm going to be channeling. We're going to be working with Kim Kranz is one of my favorite mediums and artists, and we're going to be working with the Wild Unknown Archetypes deck. Hello, Jonathan. Hi, bye. Okay. So you just want to be seen and heard. Jonathan Graham wants to be seen and heard. You've been heard. And goodbye. So in this sacred space today, I want to say happy birthday to our Virgos. Blessed new moon in Virgo. We are in a new season. We're in a new time. And some of you don't know or don't understand certain things. That's okay. If you were led to my channel, there's a reason for it, you know? And it's interesting because I asked Spirit if we should do hashtags or things like that. And they were like, no. Last Sunday, we had a heckler. This Sunday, we have a heckler. So the interesting thing is these hecklers are our future leaders in a good way. Meaning like if they found their way to me, something drew them to my light. Something drew them to my energy. If you're here today, something drew you to my energy and drew you to my light. I'm the magical medium. So, with that being said, we're going to pull some cards. If anybody would like to ask, if you would like to speak with someone who's crossed over, if you would like to have a reading, we can do whatever feels good. You can just comment in the, you know what's interesting? Don't you have to subscribe to be able to get on here and comment? I think you do, which is interesting. So did somebody come on to subscribe just to say hi and bye? It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of effort. I'm saying this to you because you guys can't see it, but it just says Jonathan Graham. And then it says hi, ? Bye. So we'll send them love. We'll send them love. We'll send them love. We'll send them peace. We'll send them peace. We'll send them peace. I am feeling like I want to crack into this. Happy birthday to our Virgos. Like I was saying, I think Jessica, one of our all-stars, I'm almost positive that her birthday is tomorrow. But if it's not tomorrow, I know that we either, I don't know, it's either, I feel like it's either the 22nd, the 25th, or the 27th, but I'm pretty sure it's the 25th. Anyway, let's see if I can, let me see if I can, let's see, let's remove, I'm going to remove that comment. Just because I don't want to keep looking at it. And every time I go up there, I'm like, reset our piece. They got their 5 seconds of acknowledgement. But you know, that's kind of what's happening on the planet right now. Hello, Joe. Welcome. Do you have would you like to speak with Spirit, or do you have someone, a crossed over loved one? Can you sleep on the cam today? Can you sleep on live cam today? I don't know what that means. Wilker, hola. Hola, buenos días. ¿Qué tal? Wilker Moisers. Hello, guys. Hi. Can you sleep on live cam today? I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. It means so I could watch you sleep. Oh, okay. Well, Joe, that's interesting because, you know, in my meditations this morning, I'm a very powerful medium, witch, and healer. And I was called to just open, you know, and so all those who are coming here today, you were brought here for a reason. You have a higher purpose than just skulk around and watch someone fucking sleep on live. You were made for something bigger, something grander, you know? So who's this? Rock. Hello to all on the chat. This is my first time on this channel. Happy Sunday. Well, hello, Rock. Oh, I love your channel, Rock Warrior 528. And Joe, I send you so much love. I really do. I really do. No, that's not going to happen. And you need to ask yourself, why the creeper behavior? Like, why do you fucking want to watch somebody while they're sleeping? You want to hear my breathing sounds in my sleep. It calms you down. Well, I appreciate that, but that sounds really creepy the way you put it. It sounds really fucking creepy. You know, how about this? Why don't you record yourself while you're sleeping? And then when you sleep, you'll be like lulling yourself back to sleep. You don't need anyone else's. That's interesting. It calms you down. It's really interesting. With all due respect, I feel such a serial killer vibe, dude. It's not, and I'm a medium, so like I don't say shit like that ever. It's giving me Dexter vibes, but you know, hey, you know what? If you're out there fucking doing your job, if that's your job to like clean up like Dexter, then so be it. If not, that's so bizarre. That's such a bizarre, but I'm not judging you. I'm just saying, like, it's really off-putting, and I'm trying to find the nice words and to be kind to like help you through that. So let's see what Spirit has to say. Do you want to ask? I mean, I never, ever, ever go into things unless you put yourself out there, okay? So with love, grace, and gratitude and respect, and since you were here first, Joe, would you like to ask any crossed over loved ones, or would you like to ask Spirit through this deck why you need that and why you're seeking that out? Because I'm not going to judge you, and I apologize for my third dimensional fucking human seeing way too many movies and TV shows. But at the same time, I am a medium, so is it thoughts? Is it something that you're having? Or is it just, you know, is there something around you? It could be an energy around you, you know, like you have to ask yourself why you want that. You could have some type of fucking like serial killer energy around you. You could have a family member who like maybe like to smell women's hair and like, you know, they didn't really want to hurt them. But, you know, I mean, you know, I've just done a lot of studies on human behavior. When I was younger, I've studied all different things. Yes. Ooh, nice. May I call you, may I call you Ling? Because I don't know, I just want to, because I'm not sure if unless it's Sue or is it, I just want to pronounce your name properly. And we will get to that. Okay, cool. Let me get to you, but right now I want to kind of finish this up with Joe. But seriously, Joe, I don't know if you're still here, or maybe this is for somebody else. And thank you for the, whatever. I have no idea. I don't know if bots can go on live or not. I have no idea. But that's just, it's all so interesting. And that's never come at me like that before. So I feel like I have to really like lace this up before we move on to Ling. And the energy that I got around that was like almost instantaneous. And one of my teachers always told me, and it's so true, and every so often I'll see something that will remind me, if your gut tells you something, it's usually the right one. However, it doesn't necessarily mean that Joe is a serial killer. It could mean that maybe somebody in his lineage, maybe somebody in, maybe he's got an energy around him. I don't like to say demons or whatever, but it could be some type of dark force that's like kind of pushing him. Because it's like, why would you say to somebody, I want to hear you sleep? Now, it could just be, I've worked with a lot of autistic people. And I've worked with autistic children and autistic adults. And I am telling you right now that sometimes they say and do things inappropriate that are kind of jarring, like that just was. But at the same time, it could be that they're being very honest. They're like, I kind of like something about me. They're like, they like hearing me sleep, or they think that my voice would be soothing to them. Interestingly enough, earlier today, I was working with my vocal exercises, and I said to Spirit, would you like me to do something? So maybe Joe is that. And if I made them feel any shame or whatever, I didn't. It's just, I'm just telling you all the things that came up. That's my job as a medium, is to tell you all the things that come up when they come up, because I'm channeling a lot of different people at the same time. So Joe could have wrote that very innocently, and somebody else may have seen that and been like, yikes, that's like a serial killer. Like, who would say, you know what I'm saying? So do you see how our energy, wherever two or more gather, our energy can get really fucking muddied and intense? Okay. So if that whole thing will sort itself out, and maybe it'll come back around, whatever's meant to be. So I just wanted to put all that out there, because this is how it is. It's not black and white, you guys. There's many shades of gray in between. And just, my partner and I were driving the other day, and we saw the same thing at the same time, and we were laughing, and I said something, and then they said something. I'm like, oh no, I saw the blah blah blah. They're like, oh, I saw that, I didn't see that. And I'm like, oh, I didn't see your thing. Do you see what I'm saying? We can all look at the same thing and get a completely different answer, because our experiences and our brains, the computer that is our brain, right? It's like we're just in these beautiful organic, suits, but our brain has so much power, and our brain connects us to our experiences. Do you hear what I'm saying? So when I'm channeling like this, a lot of things can come through. It's interesting because this is episode 16, and I feel like they're getting more and more wild, but not in a bad way. Like, I called in, I'm like, whatever was meant to be today was meant to be today. So, this is part of my job too. A lot of people don't understand it, and that's okay. I'm not for everybody. So, sorry, I hope that wasn't too loud. So let's get on to beautiful, is it Sue? Would you prefer, am I saying it correctly when I say Sue? Because if I'm not, then maybe you can help. Yay! Would you prefer Sue or Ling, or you don't care? Oh, we're going to go into the cards. Yay. Okay, you know what? I'm so excited. Okay, cool. I'm so excited for your reading, because, all that kind of shadow aside, which is okay, because you guys, right now, we are in the new moon in Virgo energy. We are in the Virgo moon. We are in Virgo season. And though it's earth energy and is normally, for me, really grounding, helps me go into fall. I'm in the northern hemisphere. However, because we are in eclipse season, we are going to have 2 Virgo new moons. The one we just had over the weekend, and we have another one coming up in September. So during this time, we are going to be in a lot of shadow energy. So it kind of doesn't surprise me that all that kind of craziness showed up at the beginning. But at the same time, oh, you're a Virgo. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Suling. Happy birthday to you. Yay. Happy birthday. Well, this is your gift from Spirit through me. Happy birthday, my love. Happy birthday. I love me some Virgos. One of our all-stars, I call them all-stars because they've been with us a really long time. One of our all-stars, Jessica, I believe it's Jessica's birthday tomorrow. I had the same phone for 8 years, and I was so blessed that it reminded me of all my birthdays. Most of them I kind of knew already, but all of a sudden I woke up in like a panic. I'm like, did I miss Jessica's birthday? Especially because she's like, dude, oh, you're most welcome. Because she just sent me a package, and I realized, I'm like, she just sent me a package. But you know what? That's such good karma. She went on, I think well, whatever. I know she said that there's a gift coming my way for all the work I do. And thanks, you guys. It is never, ever, ever expected. Oh, Rock! Oh, happy birthday, Rock! It is never, ever expected, but it is always appreciated. And I have links to my Amazon wish list and my Venmo. But it's seriously, prayer is free. Also, we are going to definitely work on Suling's reading because I'm feeling that energy already. But Rock, I just realized, did you want a reading? I'm so sorry. Let me look back. I was dealing with that kind of craziness when you came in. And craziness, and it's okay. It's like, and welcome. I love the Rock Warrior 528. That's fucking rad. Okay, hold on. Cards are flying across the room. You powerful healers. So let's put it this way. Before all that shadow stuff came in, I was having a blast with Spirit in my meditations. I was having so much fun. And I was in such a high vibration, and I was feeling so good and setting up the altar, and everything was good. And then that came in, and I just got thrown. But you know what? It's okay. It's okay. So, Spirit. Suling asks, can you tell me if I'm on the right path? And since we're working with the Wild Unknown Archetypes guidebook, I knew we were going to be working with, from the energy of you guys, I knew I was going to be working with some really awesome individuals. But from the deck, though, I was like, oh, man, because the Wild Unknown Archetypes deck is a strong deck, and it pulls no punches. So, I need to start putting like a disclaimer on here. So I'm just going to ask you right now, Suling, is there anything that's off limits? Is there anything that you don't want me? Most of the time, Spirit will back me up. You know what I mean? They'll tell me to back it up if I'm saying something that like the person isn't ready for, or they don't want, put out in public, kind of thing. So nice. Nope. Oh, I love those. Those are the best. You know why? Because you're a fucking warrior. Because warriors are like, no, give it to me. I need to hear it. I don't want to mess around. Feel free. Nice. Thank you. But also it's getting the permission, right? It's getting the permission, but it's important, because some people, let's put it this way. Whenever anything comes through that's really sensitive, I will say, sometimes I'll say, you know what I'm talking about. They'll go, I know what you're talking about. And then I'll say to everybody, I haven't done one in a long time, but I used to do channeling circles, and channeling circles are really fun, but same thing a lot, wherever two or more gather, light workers, wherever two or more gather, it's really, Jordan, oh my gosh, Jordan's one of our all-stars. Welcome, Jordan. Woohoo. Welcome, Jordan. Jordan, we are here with Suling, Rock Warrior 528 and Rock Warrior 528. If you want a different name, you can put that. If not, no worries. You're so cute. You said, Rock Warrior 528 says, I think you're doing a great job at addressing the situation. Thank you so much. I'm doing my best, because it's a difficult one. Like I said, how can I, as and those of you who are new here and you don't know me, Jordan knows I've been working with Jordan since he was a youngin', And me too. I was in my baby witch, you know, I was kind of just really coming into my gifts and my awakening. And Jesus, oh my gosh, Jordan, I just called you Jesus. What the world? When I first met Jordan, I was like hell bent on, I was like, Jordan is Jesus. Only because, I hope this is okay to share, Jordan, but you know, when I read for people in person, it's so much more intense. And Jordan's laughing. Okay, so I'm thinking that's cool. So long story short, in all of these years, in all of my life, and all of my readings, still to this day, Jordan is the only human being I've ever read for in a light worker, earth angel, in a human being that I saw Jesus. Like he was Jesus, like he became Jesus. And I've never seen that. And I've worked with so many Christ consciousness people. I've worked with so many. And Jordan, I feel like we'll have to sidebar with you because I had some stuff that came through for you too. Oh, look at it. I love it. We're a poet. We don't know it. Okay. Su Ling, you're being so patient. Okay. So we will jump around. We'll jump around. Okay, cool. So here we go. I believe this is 52. Hold on. Let me make sure because numerology is really important, and I feel like numerology is important for you. Okay, so the card is called the Empty Room. Now, the reason why Spirit is not having me go with my face on live right now, or anything else, why it's like this, is because, oh, thank you. Rock's like, I love your enthusiasm. Yeah, it's my natural. I'm a triple Sag. That's why I put on, if you look in the description box, you'll see all my stuff and like what I am. And I think it's good for people to see that because then they can get a picture and be like, oh, that makes sense, you know? But I digress. So the numbers are really, really important for a lot of reasons. But in numerology, in certain storylines, like, you know, Su Ling's asking about their path. So we want to make sure that they have all the information that they need to move forward. So it's not 52. What is that? I'm looking, by the way. When I get quiet, I'm either talking to Spirit or I'm looking for something. This is so interesting. I thought this was... Hold on. Give me a second, you guys. Is that what it is? It is. Okay, it's 42. You know, I used to pride myself on still being able to read Roman numerals. Anyway, the only thing I miss right now is I want to show you the card. You know what I mean? But they're like, nope, it's just... Because it's really about downloading the information, and sometimes the visuals can be overwhelming as well. Okay, so it's number 42. So that also comes out to the number 6. It could mean something to you. You know what I mean? Like it could be your age. It could be, you know, whatever it applies to. So here is your medicine. Sue, you ready? Okay. The empty room, the vortex, the abyss, the nothing. The empty room haunts us all. It is the universal and the all too frequent feeling of lack, of wanting, of the craving to fill ourselves with something, anything. We too often attempt to remedy the discomfort of the empty room by any means necessary, leading us to a culture of more. Ironically, the empty room is filled to the brim with potential, yet we perceive it as not enough. This card is a cry for patience, for sitting within the barren walls of the not knowing, for awaiting true vision and purpose before attaching to what we should do next to save our outward appearance. Be with the nothingness. Be with the impatience. The empty room has immense power. Let others wonder what you are doing. If you can settle into the magic of emptiness, you will soon hear its whispers of wisdom. Oh, okay, so study numerology. You want something to do? There you go. Work with numerology. Numerology is really amazing. And when you start to, I'm going to use her as an example because she's my birthday sister and because she's like one of the most prominent figures on the planet right now. Taylor Swift. Everybody's like, oh, everything's 13. Why is everything 13? Well, 13 is actually the number of the divine feminine. It's the number of the goddess. If you add it together, it's the number 4. What makes a really strong, sturdy table? A solid foundation, 4 legs, right? Like you can make a 3-legged table, you can make a 10-legged table, right? But when you have that nice squared foundation, it's about laying the foundation. And a lot of times when we're in this impatience, this impertinence, like you just, I want, I need, and you're trying to fill, right? Like maybe it's food, maybe it's alcohol, maybe it's too much movies, maybe it's too much working out, maybe it's too much sleep. You know what I mean? And you're like, I need to fill this time. I need the anxiousness that you're feeling is actually really awesome because that means that you are in the flux, you're in the fray. You understand that the third dimensional energy isn't real. However, most people are, well, I don't want to say most people, but a large chunk of people are still living in that, even if they recognize that we've moved into the 5th dimensional energy, even though scientists have proven that the planet is moving faster, even though, you know what I mean? It's like, even though we have all these things, not everybody wants to hear the answers. We are so used to this instant gratification, and they built it this way. They built it from the ground up many, many centuries ago. You know, I mean, it literally dates back to the pyramids and the slaves and all, you know, getting you, I want you to do this for me. I want, you know what I mean? Me, right? I have money. I have power. When we realize that we all have free will. No one has the right to take our free will from us. No one. Today I said to Spirit, I feel like I just want to start a petition. We need an online petition. I'm like, there's got to be like something where somebody speaks up and says, no more war, no more war on the planet. Like war is like where it's literally like, if you want to have war on the planet, you are a criminal of the planet, not of this country, not of this, of the planet. These guys don't get to come in together and like, you know, it's a bunch of bullshit and we're all seeing through it. And what I'm feeling for you is the anxiousness is that you know who you are, or at least you feel like you're powerful. You feel like you have something to do. You feel like you have something to say. Maybe you need to take this time to just chill and get in your thoughts. Start a journal if you don't have one. Writing things down is so powerful, and not just on your phone. You know what I mean? Like stepping away from your phone. You know, again, why do you think we have all these, you know, influencers and people are getting plastic surgery? I mean, hey, if you don't feel like you look like yourself, and you need to do that, that's fine. But what upsets me is when people disfigure themselves to try and be cool or popular or, you know what I mean, feed into the crowd. And that's poison. That's poison to us as human beings. We're meant to be individuals, you know? I mean, I don't understand twins, but they run in my family. And I understand, meaning like, I know that sounds weird, or triplets, whatever. I'm saying like, I'm not sure why that was created because I'm not one. But I remember my Uncle Tom and Jerry, they were Tom and Jerry before the cartoon, by the way, because I'm 53. So they were my grandma's little brothers. And they were so amazing. I know one's gone, but I think both of them are gone. But they were so powerful and so interesting, but like one was completely different than the other. And I was like, so did God, goddess, whatever, creator, whatever you believe in, you know, what did they like create these two beings in there, you know, because some are identical, some are, I mean, I can go on and on. I'm just saying like, there's certain things that like, you know, I'm in the empty room too, right? Like where you can get really like lost in your thoughts and get like really spun out and kind of fucked up and, you know, and so I'm hearing, and I don't know who that's for. Maybe somebody's a twin here or a triplet or something. But it's really about identity right now. So Su Ling, I think it's time for you to just like put your identity out there. And I swear I'm not just saying this just because your name is Asian. But do you know who Atsuka? I think her name was Atsuko or Atsuko. She's a comedian. She's hilarious. She's like one of the funniest comedians on the planet. And she has this really cool, like Chinese, like bowl cut. I believe that's where, I thought she had said in one of her shows that that's where it came from originally, but maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, you know, it's like, it's time to step out of your comfort zone. And maybe in this empty room, it's time for you to work on, you know, on like the things that you really love or the things that you really want to do. What's not really, I said a lot of things. What it's not really. Drink some water, you guys. Hydrate, hydrate. Oh, check them out. I think that you would really appreciate her. She's hilarious, and it's a really cool, interesting story too, because her grandmother, her mother had schizophrenia, I believe, or I don't know. Her mother has been unwell for a really, really long time, and they immigrated when she was, I think, like a baby or really small to the U.S. and she did it illegally, but at the same time, you know, her grandmother was like, she just knew that she had to get her here. And now it's so interesting because she's this famous comedian, and now she's been openly talking about citizenship and things like that. So it's just interesting. I don't know. Maybe you're going to find something there. Maybe you'll just really like their comedy. You know, I'm not that person that's like, oh, this, that, you know, it's like whatever you align with is what you align with. Like I said, just because you're both Asian doesn't mean you'll like her. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's more in depth than that, but there could be an Asian connection for you there. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So here's a few more things from the card. When you're in light, right? Because you're asking whether you're on the right path. So when you're in light, you feel spaciousness, you feel potential, you feel possibility. Cool. They said, I gotcha. Okay. When in dark, which means like when you're in shadow, you're in addiction, insatiability, and more for more sake. So I'm feeling like for you, the insatiability stuck out for me, meaning like, you know, it's really interesting because I said this earlier today and I said to one of my spirit guides, wow, I haven't said that in forever. I'm not making this up. It was either last night or in this morning. I don't know. But in the last 24 hours, I said, oh, I feel very satiated. Thank you. Oh, I think it was last night because I was like, no, I feel satiated, meaning like I don't need to eat anymore. I don't need to, I feel good. And I got that from one of my teachers, and she would say that all the time. I would, you know, I love to feed people. I come from a big family and food culture, and it was like feed, feed, feed. And so I was always trying to give her food, and she would say, why are you always trying to feed me? And I said, oh, it's just the way I was raised, you know, blah, blah, blah. And she'd say, no, I'm satiated. Thank you. And I said, ooh, doesn't that mean like you're good? Like you feel well? Like, she's like, yeah, it's like saying that you're good and you're full at the same time. Like you're good. Like you don't need anything else. And so it's interesting that in this reading, we're getting this word insatiability. So that's what it is. It's like, we need to figure out what it is. We need to get to the root of it, the core of why you don't feel satiated. Are you feeling anxiety, Suling? And just so you guys know, no, but stuck. Okay, good. So maybe you were just here to let people know if you're feeling depressed, you're stuck in the past. If you're feeling anxiety, you're concerned about the future. And right now, the best way for us to like stay grounded and feel good is to stay present. And I mean, stay present as much as possible. Stay present. Don't think about what's going to happen. Don't let your, you know, third dimensional friends, family, people around you get the, you know, I'm hearing this like, no. Also, Suling, this is another thing from your card, and I feel like this would benefit everybody right now. And it says, a day of silence is a surefire way to harness the power of the empty room. And I heard for some of you, since it's hard for you to stay silent, Spirit said, then go in nature and don't bring your phone. you know, like bring it, but like make sure, like put it in airplane mode. You know what I mean? So that you're just in nature for a day. Just be quiet. I mean, if you see people and you talk or something, hello, whatever, that's fine. But I'm saying, like, you know, try and find a way to like be as quiet and present as possible. Suling says, like I'm in a repetitive pattern I can't get out of. Oh, that's interesting. Like how history repeats. Oh, I'm so trying to get that silence. Oh, you know what? You're in the midst of a, let's read the rest of this card and then, and we're going to talk. Okay. And Rock, I'll get to you, but I can't acknowledge right now because I'm in the stream of this reading, but I will get to your comments at some point. Okay. So the archetype of the empty room is also portrayed as the hungry ghost, always feeding and never satisfied. So, it says to go deeper, work with John Cage's I don't know if this is 4 feet 33 inches. I don't know if that's like a size of a box or whatever. I don't know what that means. But interestingly enough, there's numbers there again. And it's 433, which is the number 10 when you add it together. And 10's about completion and new beginnings. I think honestly, I feel like you're an earth angel. And I feel like the reason why you're just struggling right now is because whatever's meant to happen for you just hasn't happened yet. And I have a feeling that you're a natural manifester and things come, like you don't have to concern yourself, but maybe this time they are, you know, like maybe the empty room is like where you need to be. And before you move forward, you know, maybe you're in the empty room because you're meant to clean some shit out. I just pulled another card. Let's see what it says. Oh, the threshold. Of course. You went from the empty room to the threshold. That's good. That means that you're almost there. Like, seriously. And it's interesting because since they're only a few cards apart, I'm going to tell you what's in between and see if anything comes to you. And take a deep breath. And if you can, if you're somewhere where you can close your eyes, take a deep breath and close your eyes and keep your eyes closed as long as you can. Because I feel like you just need to download this information. Okay. So we go from the empty room to the castle, to the box, to the threshold. And I feel like the threshold, I just got the chills, and I feel like the threshold is kind of like your culmination. So I'm just going to say a few things from these other cards. And this is what I feel like when you're saying that you keep going in circles. So your hamster wheel that you're on is because something has to change and you know it, right? Like I remember one time I was literally fighting with my husband and it just got to a point where I stopped the argument and I go, dude, I can't do this anymore. I wasn't angry. I just surrendered. And I was like, I go, we literally have been fighting about this for like 8 years. I can't. It's silly. And it was just, you know, so it could be that there's something, you know, and interesting that when I said surrender, I looked down and next to the castle is like this little picture of like a turret with a flag. And I feel like this is you, like just putting your flag up and saying like, I give up, like, you know what I mean? And not giving up, like you're giving up who you are. I feel like you're giving up who you used to be or who you feel like people think you should be, because the castle keywords are the palace, the penthouse, and the fortress. So obviously it's something in your home life needs to change. And whatever that is for you. And then the box is the cage, the rules, the norm. And again, like the box, I feel like represents like, you know, like maybe you're trying to stay in a box, and maybe that's why that comedian came to me, because, you know, she said in one of her things recently, she goes, I look like I should work in an art gallery. People never ever think, she's so unassuming as a comedian because she dresses really fucking cool. And she's not like anybody else. And she did this haircut, and she's like, she even said on one of her things, she goes, now I'm stuck with this fucking haircut because now it's my trademark, you know, blah, blah, blah. It was really, really funny. But a lot of comedians right now are so brilliant because they're just talking the truth. And that's what we all need right now. We need the truth. We need the truth more than we've ever needed it in our lives. So, you know, they're saying the box, the cage, the rules, the norm, you can't function in that. And this is a side note for Jordan. I was getting that from you too when you were talking about going home. So it's really interesting. So I'm going to read the threshold and then we'll move on to rock. And then I have some stuff coming in through for Jordan. Okay, so the threshold, the door, the gate, the initiation. We cross thresholds continually, consciously and unconsciously. Doorways, gates, and entryways grace our path on a daily basis. When this card arises, it signifies that the precipice you stand upon is not your typical one. However, you have arrived at a threshold of initiation, here to usher you into a new reality. It requires you to leave behind the quote-unquote you that you thought was so well formed. A new frontier calls. This is not easy work. Threshold initiation means a part of you will be lost in order to make space for what is next. A metaphorical death must occur. Some may not recognize you. You may struggle to recognize yourself. The ground seems to crumble as you free fall into your new reality. This is the liminal realm. One step, dear friend. Just take that one necessary step toward the future that calls you. Your freedom awaits. Oh, and your freedom awaits wasn't even on there. Spirit just said that. Oh my gosh. Wow. That's so powerful. Wow, that's so powerful. So, I'm going to go, now there's some other things that are on here, but they're just having me jump to this other part of the card first. Crossing a threshold may not, oh, I just got the chills, because we're all getting the medicine. That's why I like these live ones, you know. Yes, Jordan, thank you. Yes, you know, because this is what's happening, you guys. Like, you know, there's so much that I'm going to say, but I'm going to keep going. Crossing a threshold may not always be voluntary. Sometimes we are thrown across the boundary through circumstances far beyond our control. Either way, we cannot go back. Oh, no, no, no. It's okay, Rock. I just didn't want you, if you were, when there's a lot coming in like that and I'm channeling, I'm a superhero in some ways, but in other ways, it's easy. I have the attention span of a gnat. And so, and I used to say that, and then I'd be like, I shouldn't say that, but the truth is it's true. And it's only because I'm talking to so many dimensions and times, and your people, my people, it's like, so it's like, imagine if you're working and like 1,000 people are all asking you a question at once. You'd be like, whoa, 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 and it just all blurs together. So that's why it was. And I just didn't want you to think I was ignoring you or missing it. So just know my heart is sensitive, and I just want to make sure that nobody feels left out or that I missed something. So, and that was just such an intense moment. Okay. So never feel like you're being intrusive. It's more like, just so you know what I mean? And those who have been here a long time know that. They know I'll get back to that, to their comments. But to new people, I just want to make sure that you know that. And when people are getting readings, if you can, you know, maybe start typing it, but like send it when it has a, you know what I mean? Anyway, whatever works for you. Okay, so on the other side of the card, it says, in Hindu mythology, Ganesh is the ultimate gatekeeper. So here's our mission, should we choose to accept it. Let's work with Ganesh and Ganesha, okay? So the divine feminine, divine masculine, and all of us. Okay, so Ganesh is the ultimate gatekeeper. Look to the great elephant god for support. Hecate, Janus, and Mention are also watching over you. Okay, so this is just letting you know. Now listen, when we're at the threshold and we're in light, we're in growth, expansiveness, individuation, ease, and the liminal. But when we're in shadow, we're resisting, we're refusing to grow, we're putting up barriers and boundaries and blocks. So right now, we're in this dark shadow energy. You guys, this, I'm telling you right now, I'm not an astrologer, but I have been reading up on a lot of things lately. And there are this, in my experience and what I know, this is going to be the most difficult eclipse season we are ever going to see up until this moment. I don't know about after this moment, but in this particular eclipse season, it's a fucking humdinger. Spirit had me record something. I don't know when they're going to have me put it out, but I recorded something the other day because I felt the shift, and I was like, no matter what, speaking of satiated, same thing. I felt the same way, Ling. I literally was like, what the fuck? I couldn't, I couldn't meditate. I couldn't, no matter what I did to normally satiate my soul, feed my avatar, nothing was working. And I was like, should I get angry? Should I cry? You know what I mean? Spirit's like, whatever you need to do. And so I realized that a lot of times too, light workers, there's so much fakery and fuckery out there, you guys, about like which path we should take, kind of thing. And I'm telling you right now, the shadow is fighting for us to believe and vote against ourselves. But we need the power of our own light. You're going to have rough days and you're going to have happy days. But if you're having more rough days than happy days, you're in the wrong place. Sunday, Monday, happy days, right? So this says to go deeper into the threshold energy. This is a good one, you guys. And if you could do this, do it right now. But if you can't, that's okay. After the video, some other time. But it says, lie on the floor and listen to Bob Dylan's Standing in the Doorway. Woo! I love Kim Crayons. This is like one of my favorite decks ever. I love this deck so much. And one of my favorite places on the planet is where she designed the deck. When I saw that in the thing, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. That's like one of my favorite spiritual places. I'm like, of course that's where she did it. It's so magical. Okay. And I'm not saying you can't do the new Bob Dylan, the Timothée Chalamet, but I would say listen to the real Bob Dylan. It came from him. It was his writings. It was his, so it's called Standing in the Doorway. And this could be a metaphor too, that like maybe you're standing in your own way. Maybe this is a message for all of us that are having any type of stagnation. Also remember that sometimes when you're in the waiting room, like we started at this reading, maybe when you're in the waiting room, think about it this way. Have fun. If you're in the waiting room, it means that like you're, like you said, am I on the right path? Well, I feel personally that you got a lot of downloads when this was all being, expressed to you. But if not, I feel like, sometimes you'll watch a reading and you're like, okay, well, that kind of clears up some things, but it didn't really give me my answer. And then like a few days later, or a week later, you'll see another reading and it'll tie into, whether from me or another reader or whatever. Happens to me all the time. But in the moment, it's like, this is your medicine. They want you to like, look at this, see what you need to see. You know what I mean? And especially because you're in your energy, you're in your element. It's very rare. It's not super rare, but it's rare when the moon and the sign start together. So the fact that Virgo is in both of you, you and Rock, the fact that like your moon or the Virgo is in the moon and in your sign, I feel like this is a time to really go inward, and work with the moon energy. Maybe even like you may be even pulled to be more at night. Some people are more spiritually conscious at night when they're going to sleep, or even just at nighttime. Maybe that would be a good time to listen to the Bob Dylan Standing in the Doorway and cry, get it out. If you know what it is, I mean, listen, we've been going through this, all of us in this tribe. And for those of you who are new, feel free to go check out other stuff on the channel when you're done here. But we've been building this tribe, and we are all earth angels. We are all light workers. So if you found yourself here, 99.9%, you are some form of a star seed, light worker, all of the above, right? Because when I came into my gifts, I worked with many different teachers and shamans from all over the world, and all of them told me the exact same thing, and they didn't know each other, and they all said that I was a healer for the healers. So I'm just here to wake you up. That's my job. That's what I do. Rock says, I was just acknowledging you acknowledging me. Aw, awesome. So, this is exactly what they're trying to show us, is this divine connection that we have to each other, and that we're not alone. When Spirit told me they wanted me to start going live again, I hadn't done it in so long, and I'll be honest with you, I really didn't want to. Only because it can be really draining and really taxing, and people can be really selfish. And oh, thanks, Jordan. Jordan said, thank you for your work healing the healers. And that's what I love. Like, I mean, every person I've ever worked with was a light worker of some kind. I've never done a reading or any work for anybody who was just a muggle. And either that means none of us are muggles, and it just muggle is a term for like the third dimensional energy, but we're all magic, which is probably true. But you know, some people, a lot of very powerful light workers that I respect and definitely look up to, believe, they actually believe that there are really just space fillers, like seat fillers. Drink some water. They want me to light some Palo Santo. These seat fillers, that's what they call them. And they don't really have, it's almost like, you know how every living thing has a place and purpose, right? I mean, obviously, we all, I'm sending some Palo Santo your way. We're clearing the air of the negative energy and dark entities. Please go away. Thank you so much. With grace and gratitude, leave this house, connect to this smoke, and go out any window, door, whatever feels good. Thank you for your service. Sorry, I needed to, sorry, not sorry. Also, if you guys have tiger's eye, get some and hold it and work with it. Oh, I hope that helps, because I felt like I was going off on a tangent and they just like had me stop. So I feel like you guys got what I was putting down. So that's good. Okay, cool. Jordan, I've been hearing about those people and reading about them in channeled messages too. Yeah, so that's why I feel like, you know, it could just be that, you know, we're all a superhero light worker broken up into like a gazillion atoms and fragments, and we each have our own identity and our own little, you know, it's like Horton Hears a Who. I mean, I don't know. It's like because I've been channeling for so long, and because I see and talk to beings that sometimes I will laugh and people will be like, what did they say? And I'm like, I don't know how to say it in this language. And it's bizarre because whatever I am, I've been doing this a really long time. So I feel like if you think it or believe it, it's true, you know? So, okay. So, yay, Suling, do you feel good? Do you feel like you got your messages? You're welcome to hang out if anything else comes through, because sometimes they do. And I'm going to go back a bit, and we're going to work on Rock, our other fellow Virgo. Our fellow Virgo. Okay, let's see. Where are we at? Okay, I'm going to start where Rock said, I'm a Virgo too. Thank you. Then Jordan. Okay. Love your enthusiasm. I would love one. Okay. I have moved rocks since I was a kid. That is the inspiration of the name. Oh, I love it. Well, that's interesting because I really wanted to call you Rock. And a lot of times I say to people, what's your name? But I really wanted to call you Rock. So that's really cool. That's awesome. Oh, I just saw you as a kid. You're a really cool fucking kid. Aw, you're awesome. When you say you moved rocks, you mean like you move them with your mind? That's interesting. Oh, you put loved, not moved. Oh, that's interesting, though, that all that came up. There are no accidents, Rock. There are no accidents. You loved Rock since you were a kid. Okay, so now we know that. That is the inspiration. I'm just saying this out loud to you guys so you can see what they were saying so you can be in the loop. Oh, yeah, and Suling, don't forget to work with numerology. That's probably part of your path. It could be, you may be connected, well, we're all connected to the Akashic Record, but you may want to study the Akashic Record. Okay? I think it's AKASHIC, the Akashic Records. The Akashic Records are basically like all the records of humanity on all planets and all the solar systems and all the universes and yeah. Okay. I love numerology. This is back to Rock. I love numerology, astrology, Western and Vedic. I so believe in signs and syncs, spirit animals. Oh, Rock, you're part of, oh, we love you. You're so part of our tribe. Oh my gosh, I love it. Yes, I'm part Cherokee, so I'm like really connected to the earth as well. I love that. And I collect rocks as well. In fact, yesterday I was looking outside and my stick and rock and shell collection has gotten so out of control that I'm just like, should I just burn these, bring them back to the forest? I've been like thinking about that. So that's interesting. Okay. Sorry, you guys. Rock. The last 10 years, I have awakened to these things times 10, meaning their connection to the earth. It doesn't surprise me. What's crazy Is that what you said? What's crazy? Or that's crazy? You may have been responding to something with Suling, because there's a lot of stuff with Suling there. Okay, you said, what's crazy is that when we realize we are the ones that allow others to treat us in a certain way, the power in taking responsibility for that. Yes, accountability. Yes, Rock. Sometimes a hard pill to swallow. Yep. But it's a powerful moment. That's right. You know what? I always tell people, I'm like, welcome, witches, healers, and deep down believers in magic. But I'm Southside Chicago Kelly. I was born Kelly, and I changed my name to Tallulah Kelly. I was really drawn to that. But I really was born and raised in a very aggressive household, a lot of abuse, physical, mental, emotional. A lot of light workers are. That's what makes us the warriors. That's that instead of like going to combat like we would in like other times, it's like that's our combat has been understanding ourselves and understanding the human conditions so that we can now hold space of them with love and light, but also don't take no shit. Like we're warriors, right? Like there's a reason for it. You know, one of the shamans that I worked with, he was Native American, and I said oh, I wonder if he's crossed over, because that was a long time ago. And he was very old and spoke like this. And it made me realize, like, he even walked, talked, and you know what I mean? And not just because he was an elder, it's just that he was so connected to the earth. He was so grounded. But he told me so many magical, fascinating things about humanity, myself. I learned a lot from him in such a short period of time. But getting back to that, okay, sorry. So, Rock said, I've learned to enjoy my own company the last 4 years, sometimes to the extreme. Another thing that a lot of light workers do, right? I do too. Oh, when I looked down, it was 55. And earlier when I was in my meditation, I saw 555. So fives are about change and transformation. And when they're amplified like that, that means it's time for change and transformation, Virgos. And because we're in Virgo season during this eclipse, I mean, it will go into, Libra season will be coming in at the end of the dark moon cycle, right? But then we're going into another moon in Virgo. So it's really going to carry in through October. And I kept seeing the World Series in my meditations earlier in the year, especially with what's going on the planet right now and the sitting American president and all that stuff. So I don't know what that means, but I feel like something major is going to happen during this shadow energy through this eclipse season. Maybe things are going to be, because the whole thing about eclipse season is going back and going to those dark, seedy places that we don't want to look at, that we don't want to see, and judging them up, And so even if we don't want to see it, sometimes they're coming in, whether we like it or not, right? So, in fact, I said to Spirit the other day, I said, where are the anonymous people? I'm like, where were they? Like, I'm like, am I just not seeing, I don't look at like mainstream news and media. I laughingly say people.com is my guilty pleasure. And that's just because it actually makes sense, because if there's something major on the planet happening, it's going to be on people. If there's something major happening in pop culture, it's going to happen on people. And so I go to people.com because even though I know they sensationalize and things like that, at least I know when something's happening. Then I can sit with Spirit and be like, okay, what's really happening? But there's definitely like a lot of things that are being covered up. That a lot of things that were covered up are going to be like, you know what I mean? Like they can't hide anymore in the shadows. They're not going to be able to hide anymore in the shadows. That's what they've been doing for thousands of years. These takers. And, Karma and Kali Ma are not fucking around. And so they both told me at the same time in meditation in the last several weeks and months that they're like, this is what we've prepared for. This is what we've been waiting for. So they're like, do not get it twisted. We will absolutely, positively be working. So just sit back and let that happen. Because I was just like, I haven't seen anything from an anonymous. I'm like, what are they doing? I'm like, they've got to be doing something. These guys are really powerful. And the only reason why I'm so connected to that is because I was with someone who was very much into that. And I don't know if they were a part of it. They never told me for sure, but they did have a choice to either work for the government or long story short, they had to work for the government because they were breaking in. And so now they work at the Pentagon. That's all I can say. Okay, so let's go. But there's a lot of stuff that's going to be happening. Okay, so I've learned to blah, blah, blah. Okay, so sometimes to the extreme, rocks by themselves, but that empty room and that time of silence is actually amazing. It is, because we figure out who we are. They're so right. Okay, cool. Thanks. Thank you so much, Rock, and thank you for sharing. Okay, acknowledging. We said this, we said this. And then last thing I saw was Jordan saying, I've been hearing about those people and reading about them and channel messages as well. Okay, cool. And Suling's sticking around. Yay. You wrote some of these things that you had mentioned. Yeah, you know what? You know what? Maybe I should start prefacing the way I normally. So when I do readings for people one-on-one, I send them an email, you know, because whether we're doing it over the phone or through Zoom or in person, I always send them, it's kind of like a contract, but it's just nothing major. But I list all the things to do and all the things not to do. And then at the end, I just say, by responding to this email, you're confirming that you're agreeing to all of these things. And that's it. That's the only like part we have to, but I do that. And so people can't say like, oh, they're trying to whatever. And, but maybe I should put a disclaimer on here. But yeah, I do my best to prepare everybody. But the one thing I should always say is make sure you have pen and paper. Oh, wait. Oh, Spirit, you're so funny. But you know what? It's being recorded, so it's okay. But they did want me to say that. Also, you guys, give me a second. It's time for me to open up. I try to keep my windows and my doors closed as long as possible until the heat gets around to my house, so I don't have air conditioning. Give me just 1 second. I'll be right back. You can have the ASMR of me opening my house. My creaky old house. One more. Okay. Let me see if they want me to open any more. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, now back to Rock. You're like loved, but I believe I can move them. Yeah, absolutely. I think you can too. Suling, numerology keeps coming up for me lately. Thank you. Well, and you know what? That makes a lot of sense too, right? Because if something keeps coming for you, or if you love something and it keeps coming for you, that's what you were designed for. You know, if you were brought up in a family where it's like, it was good for my grandpappy and it was good for my pappy and it's good enough for me, it should be good enough for you. No, that's a bunch of bullshit. I have 4 generations. If you like doing what your grandpappy, your pappy, and your, dad do, sure, right? But it's like, if you know what I'm saying? But if you don't, it's like you were brought here to do something else. And a lot of light workers, if you come from a place where, whether your significant other, your friends, I mean, for those of you who don't know, I have been working on this for a long time, but long story short, I don't talk to any of my family. None of them. And I come from a very, very large family. I don't talk to any of my old friends. Jordan, I can go through Anna, Jessica, Bailey, Jules. There's so many, Zoe. There's a lot of people who are my dear, like they are my family. They are my Ohana. And most of them I met through doing readings for them or through my spirit work on my channels. Your friends and your family are what you choose for yourself. You were born into that blood and bone family for an experience and for a reason, and to mold you into who you are, but you don't have to be them. And a lot of times when people are stuck or they're not doing what they love, it's because of some fear-based emotion or experience that happened. So let's see here. I'm so glad. I feel like when you were, I'm sorry, Rock has been so patient. Maybe this is for you too. Like maybe you're like needing to learn a little more patience right now, but I don't know. It doesn't sound like it. But anyway, but interesting that
numerology keeps coming up for you, because when you asked earlier if you're on the right path, I feel like numerology is part of your path, whether it's your job or what you do. You know what I mean? I don't know. That is between you and spirit. But I did have a friend who was obsessed with numbers, and she became an accountant. And if you knew her and like saw her lifestyle, I mean, she's like high as a kite every day, because she's so fucking smart. And her brain, the way her brain goes fast with numbers is unlike anything I've ever seen. And my brain goes really fast with numbers too, but she's something else. And now she's like living her best life. She moved to, I think, Bermuda or something, or the Bahamas or somewhere like that, one of those B's. And I don't talk to her anymore, but she kept coming up in my meditations, and I was concerned something happened to her. So I looked her up. And when I saw that, I like cried for real, because she's one of those friends, like / family, that I missed, but I kept telling them, I'm like, I don't want to hear about these people. And she's like, well, if I can't talk about things, I'm like, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, it's not that I don't want to talk to you or I don't want to be friends with you, but if you're going to always talk about these people, I'm like, they're not my people. I don't care about them. I send them love. I wish them nothing but love. But like, and I don't mean like I don't care about them, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I care. Of course I care. I'm just saying, like, if somebody, it's like, how do you heal? If somebody keeps ripping the fucking scab off, how are you supposed to heal it? I know that's a little graphic for empaths. I apologize. But you know what I mean? But we kind of needed that for a second. You know, it's like sometimes you just have to close the door. You just have to close the door. Not, oh, it's my mom, or oh, it's my sister, or oh, it's my best friend from childhood. Yeah, but if your best friend from childhood is fucking toxic, you know, if your family is fucking toxic, now for some of you, you may be going into the lion's den because you have to do some healing. You know, those of you who've been with me a long time, I had to go in and face my family. I had 2 weddings back to back, 1 year and then the next year. And by the second wedding, I knew. And they were kind of making fun of me. Why are you taking so many pictures? Why are you taking so many video? Because I knew that I was probably never, ever going to see them again or ever talk to them again. But I had such a magical night and I wanted to remember it, you know, and that's for me. And I still have days where I'm like, should I go delete that? Should I? And I'm like, no, I'll keep it. Because when and if it's time, I'll delete it. But right now it was like, you know, I gave them chance after chance after chance to let me be myself, to, you know what I mean? And I feel like this is for all of us. So maybe this is for you too, Rock. But this is the kind of information that we need right now, is that we're not alone. And if you can find comfort in your own quiet and your own stillness, then my friends, you have arrived. And that could be, you know, that Su Ling, that's the threshold, I feel like, for you, is finding that sweet spot. Okay. So much is channeling. You guys are so powerful. Okay. So Rock says, my soul resonates with the Native American culture. Oh, I need to put my glasses on. Hold on. The Native American culture, since I was a kid, I think. Sometimes I think I was a shaman of sorts in a past life. Well, of course you were. Since you were a kid, I kind of figured that. Okay, so the number 34 and 24 always show up either by themselves or with another number in front of it. That's interesting because 34, if you add it together, speaking of numerology, is the number 7, and 24, if you add it together, is the number 6. And if you add those together, it's the number 13, which is the number of the witch and the divine feminine. So, and number 4 about stability. So you can bring it down to the lowest denominator, 1. You know? So that's really interesting. Yep, we're soul family. We're the vibe tribe. Jordan says it's very relatable. Okay, good. All right, so Rock, do you have... I know, I'm sorry. I'm like, I'm sorry, not sorry. That's what I tell people all the time. I'm like, imagine living in my head. Why do you think those of you who don't know, I smoke a lot of cannabis. And I smoke a lot of cannabis because my brain, I mean, I was on medications for years because they are on and off different ones, because they're like, this is what's wrong with you. That's what's wrong with you. And it took me working with different teachers and shamans to realize there wasn't anything wrong with me. They just couldn't keep up. My brain goes so fast. I'm like, and it's, you know, and this is me on, I think I smoked 3 bowls this morning. You know what I mean? But I love it. You know, like, that's who I am. And you're right. I never apologize, right? There's no apologies needed. So, but this is, okay. So, I feel like if you have a specific question, you can ask a question, Rock, but I'm just going to keep shuffling until a card comes out. Oh, hello. She says as they fly across the room. Oh, and do you guys want to say where you're from? Jordan and I live in the state of Washington. Rock, what state are you from or country? Yay, I love going with the flow. You know, it's funny. Another thing I put in my thing when I send a reading thing out to people is, you know, make sure you write down any questions, you know, that you may have. And a lot of times it's really just the exercise for them, because the truth is, I always say, do you want to hear what Spirit has to say, or do you want to go with your questions first? And it's very rare that people say they want to go with their questions first. And the people that do want to go with their questions first, there's no judgment. It's like, maybe they're just like, I really want to get this answered, you know. Nevada? I thought you were in Washington, Jordan. Oh, Su Ling's in New York. Oh. Oh, I missed Rocks. Reno, unfortunately. Oh, fuck, dude. You know what? Let me tell you something. I've been to Reno, and that's not, he's not underselling it to be, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, let's put it this way. In my experience, now I haven't been to Las Vegas in a long time. I got my first marriage. I got married in Las Vegas. I'm from Chicago, but I moved to LA when I was 23 and met my first husband a few months after I moved to LA, and he was British and he was going to get deported. So we decided to get drunk and go get married so he could stay in the country. I mean, we were together anyway. But anyway, but I've also been to Vegas to party, to be with friends. But the last time I think I was in Vegas was like 1997, maybe. But Reno to me is like what Vegas felt like in the 70s. If that makes any sense. To me, like what I feel like Vegas would have been like more seedy before it became Vegas, before it became a fucking like playground in the desert. That's what Reno felt like to me. Rock, you're from the Bay Area. Okay, so heavy on the energy. I don't want to succeed here and nothing is working for me. Of course it's not. Dude, that's basically what I was saying. Like, so the last time I was in Reno was probably like 2000 or 2000s, somewhere in there. It might have been the late 90s, but either way, it just, the vibe and the energy. You know why? Because those are the kind of places souls go to die. I mean, Su Ling could probably say the same thing for New York, like for people that like to go to, what's the one in the East Coast, Sue? The big gambling one. Anyway, gambling is so, it just steals your soul. It steals your soul. Oh, you came there to get a divorce and you've been here 3 years too long. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That's so powerful. So let me see, New York. But I belong in Costa Rica or anywhere not in the US. Oh, you were asking Rick. Sorry, Jordan. I missed that. Or Rock. I know what we all mean. So Rock's from the Bay Area. Oh, dude, I love the Bay Area. Actually, one of my favorite pieces of vintage clothing was from the Bay Area. Yes, Atlantic City. Thank you, Su Ling. Atlantic City. You know, but it's like, I mean, think about it. It's like if you're going someplace and let's be honest, most people are going to get fucked up. Not all gamblers are drinkers or partiers, but in my experience, being in Reno, being in Vegas, never been to Atlantic City, but I'm assuming it's very similar. It's just soul crushing, right? Because you're like, come on. Oh gosh, I've already lost so much money. Oh yeah, I won. And it's like this, it's like fucking having, you know, it's like being bipolar. It's almost like you need a high, you know, like, why do you need the highs so bad? You know, why do you seek the low so bad? Because it's, you know, and there are some people who go to cheat the system. And even that is like such a like rough energy. Oh my gosh, Rock, your card just came out. You got agape. You got agape. Holy shit. That's a really powerful one. Wait till you hear this. Ugh. Well, I'm glad you stay away from gambling. Me too. You said it sucks now. It's soul sucking at this way. It is soul sucking. You're so funny. I know I'm going to be moving soon. Yes, gambling steals your soul for sure. You know what gambling does? It steals your hope. Because people go, they're ones who are, luckily for me, that is not my addiction. Thank God. I was that person that would go to Vegas with $20 and leave with $250, but play on that $20 the whole time. And I'd be up thousands and I'd go down and I'd leave with like enough just to pay for my trip. Now, looking back on it now, I realize what I was doing, but I didn't understand what I was doing, But I would just play like the nickel slots because I get the same high and the same rush. I'm like, oh, I won $30. It's like, I was like, I get to drink and this one I drank, I'm like, I get to drink for free. And then, so for me, I just took it as a good time, but some people got really fucking serious about it. It was really scary. I met Neil Sedaka that way too. I was playing fucking the slot machines at the bar at 2:00 in the morning. And I met Neil Sedaka after he just got off a show in Vegas, like 20 something years ago, 30 years ago. Okay. Anyway, sorry, you guys, we're getting off topic. Okay. So Su Ling says, except for lottery, trying my possible luck, but even that, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. And let me tell you something, you're never going to win. You want to know why? Because that's not that's not for you. I would be with my friends drunk at a party and call off the lottery numbers and they would be like, stop it, you're freaking me out. Stop it. That's freaky. They're like, come on, let's go play right now. I'm like, it won't matter. They're like, no, you just got to think positive. I'm like, no. I don't know why, but I'm like, I never win. Trust me. I'm like, if I get the numbers in my head and I put them down, they don't win. If I get a quick pick, I don't win. I'm like, it's not how I'm supposed to make my money. So I'm not saying you're not supposed to, but I just don't believe as light workers, like an easy path. The only way I'd say that were true is if you were like, you wanted to open like right now with all the shit going on in America and you're like, I want to go open a homeless shelter, you know what I mean? Where these people can get off the streets and come and live and, blah, blah, blah. Then yeah, maybe you're like, today I'm going to go in and play the lottery, or I'm going to go get a quick pick or whatever they call it, or I'm going to get a scratch off and you win $1 million. And after the government gets their $500,000 and you still have $500,000, you have enough to start this place and whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's the way it works for us, you guys. That's just the truth. That is the truth. That is the truth. And I'm telling you, in my 53 years of experience, that is what in my experience, what I've grown to know. So unfortunately, that sucks. Okay. So you're drawn to the nightlife. I love the nightlife. I like to boogie. All right. Oh, always have been. Me too. You get sucked in. So Ling says you get sucked in. I know. So agape love. Here we go. All right. I felt it. It steals your hope. I needed to hear that. Okay, cool. House always wins. You're right. We never win. But that's the thing. We do win, but they win. It's like everything else from our social media. It's like they give us just enough. What do they want to make great again? They want to go back to no, you want to stay in your cubicle. They want to make it illegal that you can't live where you want to live. They're trying to take our freedom away. We're the land of the free and the brave. That is literally our fucking mantra of America, is the land of the free and the brave. And here we are, they're taking people off the streets and putting them, I don't know why this is getting political, but maybe it needs to be right now. We need to put our energy out there to send good energy, I even said to Spirit, I'm like, is he coming in? He's like, you're not going to like it at the beginning, but it's going to blah, blah, blah. It's like, I feel like I would believe that if he was doing it in a way that was copacetic and it felt good to everybody, but I just don't feel like it is. Okay. I'm curious as to if shamanic healing can help heal gambling addiction. Well, the only thing that can heal the gambling addiction is what's at the root of it. I was with an addict, a gambling addict. I didn't know he was. I found out the hard way, $20,000 later. But I had to find out that way. And look, we're talking about it today, so it was a lesson. And even when I went into court to sue him for the money, the judge was like, you're obviously intelligent. You had perfect credit till this bum came into your life. He's like, but unfortunately, both your names are on things. And, I was young. I was like 21. He was 29. And, I wanted to believe. I wanted to believe he was a good guy. I wanted to believe in love. I wanted to believe that our connection was real, and he was so good to me, you know, but found out later, yeah, that's why he was being good to me, because I was just another sucker on the line, you know. But I had to learn at an early age, you know, and it's interesting how these things come about. So I'm telling you this because I knew his family, and there was a lot of dysfunction, but nobody gambled in that family. So the gambling came from something. So something from the dysfunction that he had from his childhood somehow connected to when he maybe made his first bet. Maybe, you know, because he loved to bet on sports. That was like one of his favorite things. Oh yeah, I think he got hurt and he couldn't play sports anymore. Do you see what I'm saying? That kind of connection. So it's like he's betting on that, but the whole thing is he needs to bet on himself and heal himself, but like he couldn't play sports anymore. Do you know what I mean? It's like everything has a base root to the problem, to the issue. Everything. Any type of addiction or any type of shadow or sadness or depression or lack, you know, like we were speaking earlier, you know, with Su Ling's reading, it's like that lack feeling, you know, that impatience, like, why am I need, what's happening, you know? And it's like, well, there's usually something, and it's usually right in front of us, and maybe the thing that we don't want to see. You said, wow, as a light worker, this energy has suppressed me. I believe that. Su Ling, I say the same thing. I'm not going to win. An addict is an addict no matter what the vice. Yes, we can replace one thing with another pretty easily, especially if we are complacent. Yes, so let's get to agape. Let's get to agape. Ooh, interesting. Let me put my glasses on. Agape is number 72, which is also the number 9, and we're in a 9 year right now. Oops. It just said your orientation is locked. I'm like, well, that's okay. I don't need to. Are you guys still there? Okay, let's go to agape. Interesting. When I was going to your card, the underworld came up. Okay, so Rock says, it's when you win your first few jackpots and you know you can turn 5 into 4,400 in 10 minutes. Yeah, but that's instant gratification. Jordan says, I thought shamanism helped with drug addiction. At least that is what I was told. So here's the story. In my experience, I mean, let's put it this way. We're all shamans. Right? Rock just said, that's the chase. That is all. And when I say that, for those of you who don't know, my partner now tried to kill himself because he had a horrible sex addiction. And he was going through therapy and going through all these things. And every time he would cheat on me or do something, he would hate himself. And he'd go through the hate spiral all over again. Then he'd go to therapy and he'd try, you know what I mean? Like he was on the hamster wheel. He was going through the same things, just like you were saying earlier, Anna, right? It's like going through the same patterns. Nothing's changing. And he felt like I'm doing it. I'm baby stepping. I'm trying. And like, I was holding space for him, which was even harder, right? Because even though I didn't like the disease and you know what I mean? Like we've been together for 10 years. So we went through the whole me finding out and me breaking up with him. You know what I mean? Like, so he's my twin flame, which I always try to say that they're not real, but if we're not twin flames, I don't know what the fuck are. We're like textbook twin flames, even down to the fact that he's triple Gemini. His moon is in Sag and I'm triple Sag and my moon's in Scorpio. You know, like the Sag and the, like, whatever. He was born on a Sunday. I was born on a moon day, and I go on and on and on in numerology and all that. But we're here to teach each other. We're here to grow and learn from each other. So I've learned to not be angry at him or, you know what I mean? Or even the addiction, because the addiction is part of the fact that he was traumatized and sexually molested from the time he was 3 years old. And when sex has become, or when you're, you know what I mean, when you're programmed into a certain mentality or whatever, it's like hard to, you know, it's hard to like break out of that cycle and that pattern, especially when it's literally like like forced into you as a young child. So long story short, when he couldn't heal it in all the ways that he thought that he could, he tried to kill himself. And he didn't just try and kill himself. I mean, and when he failed, he tried and tried and tried and tried and tried. It's a really horrific story. But when he did live, even the surgeons were like, I don't know how he's alive. I don't know how he was walking upright. I don't know how, they're like, this is insane. Like, and also he healed himself so fast that one of the surgeons was like, I've been doing this for 42 years and I've never seen a human being heal that fast. And I've seen some miraculous things in my time. He's like, I don't know what you guys are, because I was like bringing them, he was in the hospital for a long time. But I was like bringing them like all like vegan, like homemade, organic, like, beautiful foods. And like, they'd get excited when I bring them stuff, but there was just that magic of the healing. And after that, he did it again. And he did it again until he was like, I don't know how to heal myself. I'm like, yes, you do. I'm like, you want to take the easy way out. I'm like, you have to go to the darkness. You have to be the little boy. You have to face your inner child and tell him it's okay. You need to tell him it's not his fault. You need to talk to him. So he started getting into psychedelics and DMT, and it really helped him. Ayahuasca, all that, it really helped him on his journey. So, now he still has times of struggle or whatever, but like not the way he used to. And we've been separated for a year while he's on his journey, and it's been good for both of us. And it made me realize like addiction is so personal and it comes from somewhere. And if you have multiple addictions, again, it comes from somewhere. They don't just come out of nowhere. They have a root. And until you heal the root and pull it from the root and heal it, it will keep reoccurring somewhere in your life. Okay, this says, the underworld, my shadow's playground. Yes, but you know what? Our shadow is our best friend. And that was the thing too, is he kept trying to push this darkness away when I was trying to help him to embrace the darkness. I'm like, I was trying to help him to push, because our own personal shadow is wonderful, right? But if you have other shadowy darkness energies that you think are part of you or part of your shadow that are pulling the strings, the puppeteer, so to speak, that's a whole different thing, and until we can fall just as deeply in love with our shadow as we are with our light, that is when we heal. That is the only time that the healing really comes into play, is when we can look at the shadow and forgive it, honor it, cherish it with grace and gratitude, and welcome it in and say, what do you got? You said twin flames. Okay, you opened it up. I met mine almost 4 years ago. We just reunited after a year of not talking. He's here in Reno. Our connection is beyond anything I've ever felt, but my whole being feels him all the time. The telepathic connection is unreal. It's about integrating the light and shadow. Yes, honor it. Yes, and also knowing, is it really true though too, right? Because sometimes people mistake twin flames for soulmates, and they're not the same thing. So, some people are like, oh, I'm an empath, they're a narcissist. That's our twin flame relationship. I'm like, well, that's interesting, because in my twin flame relationship, we were both the empath and we're both the narcissist. You know what I'm saying? Can't have one without the other. You can't, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's like if you play the victim or you say, oh, this is their role. And that's the thing too, is if we watch too many things, that's what I was talking about, the fakery and the fuckery earlier, about this like connection with spirit. And there's a lot of people who have been planting seeds for, the darkness just as much as they've been planting seeds for the light. And the shadow's been having a good old time for thousands of years. It's, the patriarchal energy has been getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And now, the divine feminine's in, and we're like, I don't fucking think so. I don't think so. Not going to happen. Not this lifetime. I've been a man, quote unquote, or male identified in 70% of my past lives. And it makes so much sense because in this life, I'm very girly girl in a lot of ways. And the way I look and stuff, I'm feminine, but I'm very masculine. And my husband now, my partner now, he's very masculine on the outside, but he's so tender on the inside. But he's built a lot of walls over the years because of the pain and suffering he's been through, or the hurt that's been placed upon him. So, it's about integrating that. It's about facing the pain and suffering and saying, okay, I acknowledge this. I honor this. I'm going to cry through this. I'm going to work through this. I'm going to yell through this. Whatever you need to do. Everybody's medicine is different. So you said integrating. I know he's my twin for sure. Yes, that mirroring aspect in the twin flame journey is a thing. I feel like he and I were married in a past life. Well, and again, whatever, feels right for you. But I get the vibe that we've always been that in every lifetime, not just one. I feel like here's my experience too. I don't know if everybody has a twin flame in this incarnation or on this lifetime. In fact, I feel like if anything, maybe, I don't know. But in my experience, it seems like the twin flames that are like the hardest worker, like right now, like we're separated. We don't want to be separated, but we need to be separated. Well, he likes to be separated, but that's because he's in his shadow, right? Like he's in I don't need anybody. I don't need, whatever. But when we spend time together and I allow, his energy to just unfold into mine, into the light, he's laughing and joyful, or, and sometimes like when I get in the car and he's, a little grumpy or gruff or whatever, I'll be like, oh, you're so grumpy, or like I'll do a funny voice or whatever, and he'll break out of it, So, but he needs to be there right now. So if you're in a twin flame relationship, maybe you were brought here to hear this right now, but if you're in a twin flame relationship right now that is, you're not together, that's okay. And also in my experience, I've known twin flames that were together in this lifetime, but they're done, because it is a battle. There's a lot of love there and there's a lot of awesomeness, but it is a battle. Your twin flame is supposed to be you, your other side of you, your mirror of you, to like help you to grow and be the best version of yourself. So, you guys, some of you guys know this. One of my favorite stories from my witchy grandma was, there was this lady in their bowling group who always bragged about how perfect her marriage was. And one day now mind you, this is like in the 70s, right? And one day she showed up with this big, beautiful emerald ring, and she was, showing it off to everybody. Look what he got me for anniversary. And everyone's like oohing and eyeing about how beautiful and, precious it was and what a great guy he was and everything. And then she said, yep. She's like, we've been together for 15 years and we've never had an argument. And my grandma looks at her and she's like, never. You've never had one argument. She's like, nope. And she's like, so never, blah, blah, blah. And she like kind of like pressed her a little bit and she goes, no, everything's just perfect. And my grandma goes, well, one of you is absolutely unnecessary. Right? Because it's like, if you're just going through life like, la, 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 rose-colored glasses, nothing happens to me, everything's perfect. It's like, how would you have any real raw experience of being human? However, on the flip side of that, maybe it was really true. I'm going to get some water. Get some water. Maybe it was really true. And maybe in this lifetime, they were meant to be like this perfect, everything's awesome. But also maybe my grandma was planted there to give her a little thing for like, how come we never fight? Should we fight? You know what I mean? It's like we're all placed in each other's way for something. Okay, let's get to agape. Agape for rock. Okay. Devotion, unconditional love. What if instead of putting yourself at the center of your spiritual practice, you put God, goddess, or nature at the center? How would this change your approach? Such is the energy of agape. It is alive when we are in awe and wonder, our breath taken away by the sacred force that surrounds us and asks for nothing in return. This card can indicate a spiritual initiation that stretches your capacity to love and serve. You sense the earthly as the heavenly and vice versa. Such an initiatory moment can appear in any form. And like a healing balm to the modern soul, it affects lasts a lifetime. But I said us, so that's interesting. I don't believe in accidents. That was a Freudian slip for a reason. So since you're talking about your twin, and that came up, the agape card may also suggest you reassess what you worship every day, whether consciously or unconsciously. What are you elevating? Where does the sacred ladder you climb ultimately lead to? These are the questions that they want you to ask. So when we're in light in the agape devotion, unconditional love energy, we're in service to ourselves and others. We're in reverence to ourselves and others. We're in honor to ourselves and others, and we are in joy for ourselves and others. But when we're in shadow, we're spiritual bypassing and righteousness. Yeah, those are really good questions. Rock's like, what great questions. Yeah, and I'll say them again, you guys. So what are you elevating? Well, let me start where it says, the agape card may also suggest you reassess what you worship every day, consciously or unconsciously. What are you elevating? And where does the sacred ladder you climb ultimately lead to? Also, they wanted me to say, even if you're standing in line to get food or something, right, at takeout, even if you're not listening, like full on listening to people's conversations around you, your subconscious, whatever your ears can hear, whatever your body can feel, vibrations, it's taking it into your subconscious. So think about that for a second too. So that's why they want you to be really mindful. What are you listening to? Where are you going? Where are these places? What are you putting in your body? What are you putting on your body? This ascension, especially, earlier with Su Ling, I wouldn't be surprised, if this was, they're like trying to show them like, hey, this is where you are, but maybe this is where you're meant to be. I kind of feel that with all of you guys. I kind of feel like all of you guys are in a holding pattern, not necessarily where you're supposed to be. What's going in your eye gate and your ear gate? Yeah, exactly. Right. And what are we putting out as well? When I'm channeling, I'm channeling, but then there are times when I'm channeling that spirit will be like, whoa, back it up, or that's the way, because my languaging has changed and evolved massively over, my ascension process and coming back to myself, so it's meant to. That's another reason why I didn't want to be around my own friends and family. One of my friends who was like a child, the interesting thing was I was best friends with her sister, but because all the sisters were really close in age and they were all really close, I ended up being close to like the whole family. So one time when I think I was living in LA at the time. I've lived all over. I've lived in 5 different states and mostly big cities. And I had come home to Chicago to go watch a baseball game, a White Sox game with a bunch of my friends. And everybody like loads up the way we always did, in a big SUV, and people are drinking and smoking cigarettes and, smoking weed and whatever, and just having a good old time. And I was not into that. I used to be like that, but I wasn't, I was all like, I don't think we should be drinking and driving, you guys. I don't think, and it was because I didn't want to be like that anymore. And then when we got to and so I got made fun of for that, and everybody told me to shut the fuck up. So I did, Southside Chicago Kelly knows how to be Southside Chicago Kelly. So, I just went back into what I knew would make them all comfortable. But when we got to the parking place, we wanted to be in this other area. And I said, you get more bees with honey than you do with vinegar. And they're like, oh my gosh. I go, that's from my mom. I'm like, but that's the truth. I'm like, just give me a minute. So when we got up to the parking person, I leaned out and was super kind. I was like, hello. I'm like, what's your name? And I was like, hi. I'm like, my name is Kelly, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, my friends and I'm like, is there any way that we can park over here? I'm like, she has a daughter and we need to be able to go and pick her up. And if we get there, we're going to get stuck. I'm like, can we pay extra? Is there anything we can do? And, but I used a different languaging and I was super respectful. When it was done, my friend went into this whole thing. She's like, epite, epite. She's like, where did that come from? She's like, who the fuck is that? And she goes, you slid into that pretty easily. And I was like, that's how I talk. I'm like, that's who I am. She's like, no, that's not who you are. She's like, you're from here. You're like us and blah, blah. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm like, I love you guys and I want you to be you. I'm like, but this is not me. I don't want to be this person. I don't want to, blah, blah, blah. And I started to realize that for some people, when they're not ready to change, they don't want you to change because change is uncomfortable for a lot of people. So, this message is for all of us. I feel like, I don't know where that came from, but I feel like this is, maybe some of you are tied to something and Spirit's like, when it's time to change, then it's time to change. Okay. So you said holding pattern. My wings are being prepared to fly high and away from Reno. That's right. Let's read what the other part says. Okay, so it says, the Greek word agape informs the English word agape to have the mouth agape. Oh, is it agape? Am I supposed to be saying agape? I just realized that I'm saying agape. Were some of you agape, or have you ever studied the agape religion? Maybe you're meant to look into that. I don't know. But I just realized that it's agape, and I've been saying agape this whole time. Unless it is, I don't know. But either way, it's there for all of us. That's so crazy because I'm reading it and all of a sudden I'm like, wait, what? So the Greek word agape informs the English word agape. To have the mouth agape is to be awestruck by something of breathtaking delight. We are made humble once again. Am I just reading it wrong? I think the punctuation hasn't been placed properly because it's like one run-on sentence. The Greek word agape informs the English word agape or agape. To have the mouth agape is to be awestruck by something of breathtaking delight. We are made humble once again. Well, maybe they're trying to say too, for some of you, the reason why you need to move, you need to see something that will make you go, oh, I want to live here. Where I live now, the first time I came here 10 years ago, I was so in love with this place. I was like, I have to live here. I have to live here. I have to live here. It was kind of non-negotiable. And so I spent years finding my way up here. And now that I'm up here, I love it, but I find myself in the same thing, in a holding pattern. I'm like, should I go somewhere else? Should I go, because most of us, when you're feeling that, it's because Spirit wants you to go somewhere else, but maybe you're not opening yourself up to where you need to be, if that makes any sense. So it's agape love, highest love in the Bible. Well, and it's a religion, right? So, or it's become a religion, excuse me. So that makes sense. If in the Bible, it's the highest love is agape, then maybe this is what they're trying to tell us, right? Connecting to that highest love, which is Spirit, right? Christ consciousness. It's then everything else is easy, You said, I have to go soon, but I wanted to tell you that I learned recently that I'm a descendant of Mary Parker, who was hung in the Salem witch trials. Holy shit. Deja vu while you were telling the story. Oh, Su Ling. Okay, Jordan. Okay, oh gosh. Okay, so Jordan, so Rock said that about the Bible and agape. Jordan said, I have to go soon, but I wanted to tell you that I learned recently that I'm a descendant of Mary Parker, who was hung in the Salem witch trials. Holy fuckballs. And then Su Ling said, deja vu while you were telling the story. Okay, so, oh my gosh, so much is happening right now. So listen, Jordan, I don't know if I ever told you this, and some of you may know this or not in the tribe, but I'm from Chicago originally. I kept trying to go to New York. When I was moving away from Chicago, it was either LA or New York. And I chose LA because I was tired of winters. And I was like, well, I'll go to LA first. If I don't like it, at least I'll have summer for a full year, and I was like, that's cool. But every time I've tried to go to New York, New Orleans, and the East Coast, every time I've tried to go there, my plans were canceled, down to like the flight was canceled. You know what I mean? We were just like, what? Why? You know, and I have some connection with the witches there. And I had a witch come up to me when I was in Oregon, actually. She came up to me. I never met her in my life. She said, have you ever been to New Orleans? And I was like, no. And she's like, you know, you can't go there, right? Like, you can't go there ever. And I was like, what? But that's kind of the vibe I get from the East Coast in New York. So interesting, Jordan, that we're connected, and why I saw you as like that Christ consciousness energy. I don't know what dark magic was placed in these put in these places, but there's definitely something that it could even be that, you know, a lot of witches too, the dark witches who went dark, you know, a lot of the witches that went dark, they ended up putting some pretty fierce fucking shadows out, you know? And we all have a choice as witches. We all have a choice to walk in the light and hold and express and share the shadow. But, you know, there's some that live straight in the shadow of it, you know? They get mesmerized, they get, you know, what is that, like romanticized or whatever. But we come from, wherever we come from, is a love-based energy. So it's not one of control or spite or, you know, so like when I see when people are like, oh, buy this spell from me or whatever, that stuff burns my butter. I mean, it really burns me up because, you know, especially those who are really naturally gifted, you know, I know it's part of their, you know, path and blah, 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 but still it's the mama bird in me, the mama bear that's just like, you know, I don't want somebody to go through that. But I feel like something major happened to me too, because Jordan, I don't know if you remember this or not, but like in one of my past life regressions that I did through my studies and working with different shamanic healers, I went really dark in one of my lifetimes, and I killed people because me and my family. I have this vibe that like, I get this vibe that it was me and daughters. I don't know if my husband died of illness or died in a war or whatever, but I see me on the East Coast in America in the early years, and like the Puritan, you know, kind of like, I remember the first time I saw, you know, the Nicole Kidman, Sandra Bullock. They're doing the second one right now. I'm so excited. It's literally shooting across the water for me. I can literally take a ferry to where they're shooting right now. I've been thinking about it actually. But you know, practical magic. But that's kind of what it was for me too. It's like, so what happened was I was like the local, like medicine woman, healer. I work with herbs, like things like that. And they didn't like when I would tell them that they shouldn't do that or shouldn't do this, or astrologically speaking, this wasn't a good thing. And once I told man, you know, that he couldn't do that, they punished me and they killed my children. And so I was coming back from gathering, you know, I was out in the woods and I was coming back from, and I had like a basket. It was so vivid. And I just remember I was like humming and I was happy and I was just walking along the trail to go home, and they hung them there because they knew that that's where I would find them. And I'm sure they probably said that I was out in the woods, you know, gathering whatever. They didn't come for me. They came for my girls. And so when I came around the corner, all three of my girls were hung from, I think I might have 4 daughters actually. They were all hung from a tree. And that was their way of telling me that they were in charge and they were in control, and that if I didn't want that to happen to me, they were gonna, you know. And so instead I was like, oh yeah, motherfuckers. So I like went through and like, I basically killed everybody in the town and the kids with so much rage and hate. I turned dark. So, you know, you guys may have, if you have any fear-based things in this lifetime that you're not sure like why you have that, it could even be that deeply ingrained. And I mean, to me, that was hundreds of years ago, but it doesn't matter. It just happened because I went from that lifetime to this, or whatever one's in between. But you know what I mean? I mean, I've had many, many, many things, but there's a lot of that kind of stuff. One of my shamans that I worked with, she had something like happen to her. She was Mayan. She was a Mayan princess, and she wasn't just a princess. She was like a gifted warrior. So they like she had like a lot of horrible things like happen to her too. And, so when you see these things, that's my job as a channeler and a seer. But if you want to seek it out for yourself, go in meditation, work with, ask your spirit guides to show you. I'm going to read the last thing from this card. So I'm going to say agape can also be felt as an overwhelming love. See, now it says agape. Agape can also be felt as an overwhelming love of family, partner, community. Recognize it by a deep swell of gratitude. And by the way, now I think I know what they're trying to say at the other one. So they were saying the word agape informs the English word, quote unquote, agape. To have the mouth agape is to be awestruck. So now I understand that more. That makes sense. Okay. So I don't know if you guys do this already, but one of my favorite things, like right now I have an altar, and my altar is always ever changing, and I make sure it's clean, and I have earth, air, fire, water, and metal on the altar almost at all times. If you found yourself here, witch isn't a negative thing. Witch is another word for a healer. We're just really deeply connected and rooted to the earth, to Gaia. That's all it is. Let me see. Do we have any more messages for Rock? Ooh, you're getting some heavy. Yeah. So, do you want to use a different name than Rock, by the way? So you got Gnosis, but it's Gnosis. I think that's how it's said. And if I remember correctly, let me see. Yep. Naomi. I love that name. That was actually I was engaged before to this beautiful soul, and that was his mom's name. I love her. I send you beautiful energy, Naomi. Drink some water, you guys. Okay, so this is very interesting. You probably already know this already, but Naomi, you're in the initiations period. And if you want to go to Costa Rica, and if you feel like you're meant to go there, it's interesting because I feel like it's a family member that's crossed over that's telling you to go there. You're welcome. But I also feel like a slithery, like somebody was like, go to Costa Rica, but it kind of feels like it feels like a double-edged sword. And I don't know what that means. So let's see. But the reason why I'm saying that is in this deck, they have different like quadrants, I guess you can say. And let me see. They are the selves, the places, the tools, and the initiations. And both your cards come from the initiations. So I think that's really interesting. And I feel like that's where you are, like you're in the initiation phase. You just have to take the leap. That's the vibe I'm getting from Spirit. So same thing, kind of like with Sue's reading. So these cards go together. We have Agape, which is devotion and unconditional love. Then we have Thanatos, which is death. And then Apocalypsis, which is removing the veil of deception. And we have Gnosis, which is the innermost knowing and the mystic truths. So it says, true knowledge is not found in facts and figures and scholarly books on library shelves. Rather, Gnosis points to the deep and timeless archetypal wisdom that rises from the felt experience of having touched the unknown with every one of the senses. Those who are drawn to Gnosis find themselves in esoteric studies, likely involving mysticism, alchemy, healing, or perhaps science. Knowing is their calling. Not knowing is their job description. No matter how far the alchemists take their studies, they come to the ultimate conclusion that facts slip towards mystery, and soon the mystery results in facts. This card signifies a knowing that is life-changing. Once you experience it, you are forever changed, and you become a guardian of Gnosis. I don't know if I'm saying this right. The eternal mystery is calling you. Study your passion in the deepest way available to you. So what's your passion? Yes, taking that leap. Wow. Knowing is the calling. That so resonates. Oh, I love it. So when you're in light in this energy, you're contemplating the mystery, unanswerable questions, right? you love it. You're like, yeah. But when you're in shadow, you're over intellectualizing and literalizing and asking others. So this is for all of us, right? It's like, so if you're asking for, it's one thing like this when you're getting guidance, because I'm just basically mirroring you back to you. But it's different when you're like asking a friend what they would do. No, because their life is their life and your life is your life. And it could even be, I have to be honest with you. I'm not saying this person isn't your twin flame, but I definitely am getting this vibe like either you are in separation or you need to be in separation, or like maybe you're meant to go to Costa Rica without them and like it be a solo trip. Because if you're being called to that and it just came up again, but I don't know, because then I kind of felt that shadow voice. So you need to find out why you want to go there, what's drawing you there. So you're saying rocks, sound healing frequencies, and spiritual wellness. Well, then do it. And also, this may be a tough one to hear, but sometimes the warriors, the light workers out there, oh my gosh, my hand is getting so itchy. I'm sure I'm going without him. That's interesting. Because it could even be that like maybe you're meant to be in Reno, but to open a practice there and like maybe the nicest part of it or like somewhere near it, or you know what I mean? Like maybe you're meant to like go to Costa Rica and get the medicine. Like it was explained to me like this, like you're going to get the medicine and right. And then you're bringing the medicine to others. So it could be that like, maybe it's not moving to Costa Rica. Maybe it's just going there to have what you need to get from Costa Rica kind of thing, right? Or maybe you'll get there and be like, I absolutely don't want to live there, But remember that also in our soul contracts, people say, oh, you can break your soul contract. I think in some instances, yes, and some people disagree with me, but I'm just going to speak my truth. And my truth and my experience, some of us, like myself, I know this for myself and I know this for other light workers that I know. We are where we're supposed to be because if you look at us light workers like a globe and like push pins, we need to be in all these different places strategically. It's like having, what do they call it? Satellite, right? Connecting us all together. You said, I'm in the nicest part. The atmosphere energy is too heavy. You just know that. So maybe that's what it is, but some warriors were, even though the energy is heavy, could you know what I'm saying? I'm just throwing this out there. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying that some people are meant to be in certain places for a reason. But if you physically, mentally, emotionally, like all the way around feel like you're not supposed to be there, then you're probably not supposed to be there. But sometimes that feeling can be confused because sometimes we're meant to face our enemies, so to speak, right? And even if that enemy is quote unquote like our own shadow, our own self. And it could be that you're still there because either you haven't taken the leap yet, or you're still there because you're not done integrating whatever you need to do, or maybe you're there to transmute that energy. That's what I'm saying. So, whether it's through sound bowls or, you know what I'm saying? You said, I'm still listening. Wait, hold on. What does this say? I know I'm supposed to go. That is all I know. Not sure how long or if I'll live there, but I know that there is an answer there. I'm so listening. Oh, good. And I'm not ready to leave yet either. I know that. Yeah, that's powerful. And that's the thing is like, sometimes, have you ever tried to do something like with me? Like I kept trying to go to these places, right? And it wasn't working out and it wasn't working out and it wasn't working out. And I'm like, why can't I go? Why can't I go? And I'm saying to Spirit, why can't I go to these places? I don't understand, like, wouldn't this be good for me? And it's like, what I think is good for me isn't necessarily good for me. Or sometimes I get a vibe about something, but the timing, because man-made time. So if you have a man-made construct, and we're these light beings having a human experience, it can be confusing sometimes because we're like, we see everything at the same time. So we don't see it like, I don't see my 3-year-old or my, you know what I mean? It's like, it's all me. I don't look in, you know what I'm saying? Like, even if you went into time travel, which I know I do when I'm sleeping, but it's like, it's all the same. So sometimes we may be like, oh, I need to go to Costa Rica, but is it like now or like you're going to go in 5 years from now? You know what I mean? And that's where in lies the difference. Hold on, you guys. I'm going to go open another window. It's getting hot. Get some water. Okay. Wondering if I should hold on 1 second, you guys. Hold on. The way that my house is, I have to like kind of play with the sun. So when we're having a heat wave like this, I don't have air conditioning, and I don't even have a fan because I live in the Pacific Northwest, and usually I can just lump it because when we get heat waves, they don't last very long. Um, but this one's pretty rough. We're in the middle of a 5-day one, so I have to be very strategic of what windows I'm opening, what windows I'm uncovering, you know, because now the sun's making its way over here. Okay, so this says, I do believe the universe will make it clear if I'm supposed to be somewhere or not. We just have to be aware and open to hear or see the signs that are given. Absolutely. See, you don't need, you know. Thank you for taking the time you have today. So appreciate you. Oh, it's my pleasure. It is my pleasure. I'm so glad I can help. I mean, that's part of my medicine. It's what I'm supposed to do. Let me see if there's any more from Gnosis. It says this card relates to the riddle and the shapeshifter. All concern themselves with revealing mystic truths. Interesting. And it says those who say they know don't. Those who say they don't know know. Ooh, that's good. And it says when we're in the light of this energy, we're contemplating the mystery and unanswerable questions. When we're in shadow, we're over intellectualizing and literalizing and asking others. Oh, we read that already. To go deeper, it says Bruce Nauman, Bruce N, last name N as in Nancy, A-U-M as in Mary, A-N. The true artist helps the world by revealing mystic truths. So look up Bruce Nauman's The True Artist. I don't know if that's a book or, it's a title. The true artist helps the world by revealing mystic truths. The true artist helps the world by revealing mystic truths. Interesting. Oh, Sue says, I like that one. Yeah, I like that one too. And out of nowhere, I'm like, my hand is really itchy. Is somebody having an allergy somewhere in this tribe? Because I'm hearing for somebody, it's your soap. Did you change soap recently? When out of nowhere my hand starts itching like that, I always kind of tell it's like somebody's having some type of allergic reaction. Also, some people are here for the live, but we have a lot of tribe members that come back and watch them later, so it could be somebody there. Always feel free to comment below. I think that might be it. Do we have any more questions? Does anybody? I kind of felt like we were going to go a few hours today. Jordan, I've always believed that about art. Yeah, me too. Sue, my right palm has been itchy today. Oh, that's funny because it's the outside of my right hand that's itching out of, I wouldn't say out of nowhere, but because I got stung by a mosquito there yesterday. But I mean, like, you know what I mean? It just started going out of nowhere. So I'm going to put some tea tree oil on it. And for those of you who have a mosquito issue, tea tree oil, real good. Make sure that it's real and not some, you know, byproduct of tea tree oil. But tea tree oil is really good for mosquito bites. Really, really good. I like to put, well, you know, they call it you put the X through it. So you put your nail through the mosquito bite like an X, and it kind of opens the pores there. Also, in some cultures, they believe in itchy palm. Some believe that an itchy left palm is money coming in. Some people believe itchy right palm is going out. And some believe it's the reverse. So whatever you believe in, I guess. Oh, and thanks for the thumbs up, you guys. The thumbs up, the shares, the subscriptions, all that stuff helps. And it gets us closer to our people, you know? We're just finding them. We were meant to be where we're meant to be. I've had this channel a really long time, and it started blowing up a lot recently. And I know, one, it's because we're going live, but also because it's time, you know? A lot of us, we're just waking up. It's like waking the dragon. Okay, let's see. Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so interesting that you said that, Sue. I literally, as we're talking, I'm looking at, I'm marinating broccolini for dinner tonight in liquid aminos and big chunks of ginger. I worked with a nice thing of ginger today. So interesting. Love those good, healthy foods. Oh, you said ginger helps with the mosquito bites. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh, that's awesome to know. No wonder why it kept falling out yesterday. It kept falling out of the fridge, and I was like, oh, and I was like, do you want me to marinate that broccolini today? But I bet that's what they were trying to tell me. See, thank you. This is how we help each other. Thank you, Suling. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. And if you eat raw garlic, if you can handle it, I get heartburn if I eat raw garlic. But if you eat raw garlic before you go camping and while you're camping, you won't get any mosquito bites. My partner taught me that, and it really hurt. It really helps. I mean, it hurt my heartburn, but once the heartburn went away, I was like, dude, I haven't been bit once, which is weird because I get bit a lot. I think I got sweet blood. I have A positive blood. So, Jordan, did you have anything else you wanted to ask beyond like what we talked about? Does anybody else have any more questions before we wrap up? No cards are jumping. That's why I asked. That doesn't mean we don't have one. It just means that, because if not, we'll wrap it up. Wow, this was episode 16, which is also the number 7. 7s are about cycles. Okay, what is your specific question, Jordan? Or do you not have one? Or if you do. Oh, I go live every Sunday at noon. Naomi, I go live every Sunday at noon. And I'm always open to like reading and doing things. But if it's repetitive, you know, then I go like in order, you know. So let's say like if it was just you and me next Sunday and we were like drawn to like do a reading, I would be like, let's do it. But like, you know, if you just show up on Sunday for the reading kind of thing, it's like I try to take people in order. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Yeah, it's funny. I used to do Sacred Sunday. Or no, I had Soulful Smudge Sunday, Soulful Sunday. And we did the off and on for years with the tribe. And then we kind of stopped. And then for a long time. And then this came to be, and I was like, okay. All right, Jordan, hold on. I got to change really quick. This is where it's fun because I can be on the phone with you guys and change my clothes because it just got really hot in here. It's so hot. It's like being in a sauna. I'm in an RV. I'm in a tiny home. So once the sun hits me, I'm at the sun's mercy, and it is not fun. Okay. I'm going to get some more water. We're going to dig into Jordan's question. I'm going to put my hair up because it's getting hot. Okay, Naomi says, I just want to be part of the tribe. You are part of the tribe, of course. I wasn't even expecting a reading. That was a blessing. Oh, no, I know. I'm just letting you know because it's happened. So I just put it out there. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that sometimes it's not even towards you. You know, it could be towards someone else. That's like our tribe members. Like Jordan's one of our all-stars. Like he's been with us forever. And, you know, he was meant to show up at that time, right? You know, like, because you guys were new and all that good stuff. Okay, so Jordan. Ooh, it's hot in here. Goodness gracious. It's like, it's like right when the sun comes around that that bend, it's like, motherfucker. It's just, it literally, it feels like the temperature just went up 10 degrees, but it could be you too, Jordan, because you're on fire. Okay, so Jordan says, what can I do to protect my body from the damage that comes from negative emotions? I've been wrestling with this for a long while. Oh, yay. Thanks, Sue. I'm so glad you thought it was cool. Yeah, we're here every week. Your nervous system especially. I'm so glad you came. Yeah, I love it too. It's honestly, it's my favorite time of the week is this. But at the same time, it's interesting because it's always like on Saturday. I dread it on Saturday only because a lot of times on Saturday, I'm tired from the week. But the interesting thing is, I go to bed early on Saturday, I wake up Sunday, and it starts over, and it's like a refresher. And I feel like that's what this is for. It's like a refresher. It's like for us to begin the week, you know, like, you know, so that's why I feel like that on Saturday, because it's at the end of the week. So Jordan, I think we've talked about this before, but I'm going to bring it up again. You make yourself that way because of your love and your obligation to others. And, you know, it's like this kind of, let's put it this way. And I hope this is okay that I'm going to say this in front of everybody. But when I saw your message, when you commented on one of the videos and you said that you were moving back home, I literally was like, Spirit, how can I help him? What can I do? Where can I find him somewhere to stay? Can I, you know, I'm like, no, I don't want him to go home. I don't want him to deal with that. I don't want him, you know, but if you remember when I met you, Jordan, I had pancreatitis. And I gave myself pancreatitis to, number one, quit drinking, because I didn't want to quit drinking when I knew, when all my shamans and my teachers, and they were all like, you have to, you know, you have to take care of yourself. You have to. So I gave myself pancreatitis. I literally gave me something that if I drank, it would kill me. You know, when I went into the hospital, I'd never, ever been to the hospital in my life at that point, you know, but here I was in my, you know, late or early 40s. I ended up in the hospital with pancreatitis. And if you remember, I went home, I spoke about it earlier, you know, I went home 2 years in a row for the weddings. And the first year I went home, I was really sickly and I was nervous to go home because a lot of my family and I don't get along and we're so different. And I know that you have a lot of stuff with your family too, you know, with the religious stuff and that kind of energy. So I think a lot of empaths and sensitives, and some people think I'm a total dick for saying this, and I'm sorry if this hurts you, but I'm going to say it because this is what I feel and this is my experience. But like Christina Applegate, it kills me. I'm like, you know, all of these people with these, you know, oh, I have fibromyalgia, oh, I have MS, oh, I have all, it's like, but a lot of these things happen because we don't want to face some type of healing or some type of change. So we will literally turn these things into illnesses. And I've watched it happen time and time again. When I was and when you saw me, Jordan, I was really tiny. I think at my skinniest or my smallest or whatever you want to call it, I was 88 pounds. And my friends were like terrified because I went from 170 pounds to 88 pounds in like 6 months. And everybody was like, holy fucking shit. And then as I worked with each of these, you know, spiritual teachers and healers, they all one by one told me that I had the power to heal myself. You know, it's kind of like at the end when Glinda, you know, says to Dorothy, you know, you had the power all along. And, you know, it's like, I mean, now I'm healthy and I got good weight on me. I'm almost 5'3". I mean, Jordan knows because he's seen me in person, but for those of you who don't know me, I'm like 5'2 3/4". So right now I think I weigh about, I haven't weighed myself in a long time, but I've kind of stayed the same. So I'm somewhere probably around 120 pounds, maybe more, maybe less, but somewhere in there. And I'm and I like that I have meat on me again. But there was a time, I mean, if you see my videos now, that's what I look like now. I mean, I do show some past videos, but I'm always kind of around that area. But when I was 88 pounds, it was fucking scary. So I feel, looking back on that, one of the reasons why I did that strategically, the timing was perfect, because when I hadn't gone home for like 5 years. And during that time, a lot of shit happened with my family. And it's one thing to talk to each other over the phone or through emails, but it was different when I had to like face them in person. And being the youngest, I'd been bullied, by so many of my older family members, whether it was my siblings, my aunts, my cousins, like in every category, there was like one bully that like just loved to, as the British would say, take the piss out of me. And some of it was malicious, some of it they were trying to be playful, but deep down I know they were just being jerks, or they were jealous, or, insert whatever their own shit was. But instead of, I was a big mirror for them. And it's like I've said this before, when you meet me, you either really love me or you really hate me. And usually, if you really hate me, it's because I'm just putting back at you all the ugliness. It was like the nicer I was to my family, the kinder I was to my family, the meaner they were. And it's like, I just can't win. But I really wanted to be at my niece's wedding. She was my goddaughter, and I really wanted to be there. And I think I gave myself pancreatitis so that I would look sickly and that maybe they'd leave me alone. And ironically, it worked in some respects, but some of my bullies didn't care. They still were just, in fact, they were like, oh, you're starving yourself. You're just doing this to get attention. I'm like, yes, I'm trying to die to get attention. You're right. But ironically, they were a mirror back to me, because I kind of was. I just wanted them to leave me alone and not be mean to me or not control me or not, and so I thought, or somehow I masticized, right? Like a fucking tumor. I created and manifested this illness to, one, get me to stop drinking, two, get me to lose some weight, and three, to, when I went home, I mean, when my mom saw me for the first time, she literally started crying and said, are you gonna die? Because I looked gray. Like, I mean, I was 88 fucking pounds. And I was so sickly, and it was not an easy time, but I needed to do that for myself. I needed to do that for them. And, and then it was really cool because some of my family that would kind of like, because I had my bullies that were just straight up bullies and fucking mean and like hated me. They just hated me. They've always hated me. But again, because of my light, right? And because I was a character and I liked to perform and I was a singer, and some of them didn't have enough courage to do that, right? So, I would never say they were jealous, but my mom said, of course they're jealous of you. Like, it's so obvious, it's kind of sad for them, but we just don't say anything, kind of thing. But then my other bullies who used to kind of quote unquote take the piss out of me, they became my warriors. They were the ones that when the bullies were mean, they're like, shut the fuck up, dude. You're a fucking asshole. Like, leave her alone, So it was kind of interesting to watch the dynamic change. And I realized, like, just my presence at the wedding, what a different, like, the things that happened. And at that wedding, I couldn't talk about energy, Naomi. I couldn't even be in the same room. Like, I started crying. I had to leave. My family were like the Hatfields and the McCoys, and there was so much hate in that room. I literally couldn't take it. I was this empty vessel. I was fighting my own fight. I was working, and during that visit, when I was in Chicago, I went up to the Menominee tribe in Wisconsin, and I ended up working with, that's the one that I spoke of earlier, the Native American shaman man who spoke like this, the medicine man. He's a medicine man, pure and simple. And so, he's the one that said to me, like, you did this, like, you orchestrated all of this so that you can try and, like, you're here to show them who they are. Like, you're the ancestral lineage breaker. You're the one that's going to stand up and say no. You're the one that's going to, and that's what I feel like, that's where you are, Jordan, is like, you're not your family. Like, you're not, if you're going back there for soul retrieval, that's different. If you're going back there because you feel like you need to close some doors or, whatever, that's different. But hold on, I just saw that you guys put something. Oh, you're welcome. Naomi said, thank you for being vulnerable with us. That's all I do here. You said, wow, that makes sense. I have some of the Pisces problems of being stuck in the past and not standing up for myself. I've been working on standing up for myself too. I don't have any family in Iowa City, and I have some great music work opportunities there. Oh, okay. Black sheep, yes, the cycle breaker. Okay, cool. For some reason, I didn't think so, but I thought you said something about family in Iowa City. So I was like, well, if you're like, you know what? If you end up in Iowa City, I have to hook you up with Jules. You guys will love each other. Oh my gosh. Jules is the bee's knees. She's one of my favorite healers on the planet. And I always forget the little town she lives in. It always eludes me, but I think I'm supposed to. I don't know why. Maybe because whatever, but she's really phenomenal. Oh, well, if you do, so do you want to ask Spirit about that? Did we, hold on. Spirit's talking to me. Let me see if they want me to pull any cards for you, Jordan. Do you have any messages for Jordan, Spirit, about this Iowa City? Because there's a lot coming through. You have a grandmother coming through too. It kind of feels like it's on your dad's side. So I don't know if she's still alive or if she's, or, okay, we got that one. Is that the only one? Is there any others? Do you want to pull any others? We want to go one at a time. Okay. Okay, so you pulled number 29, the animal. Okay, Jordan says, sounds good. I would love to meet her. I'll hear what Spirit wants to say always. Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, and also, if you're still in Olympia, I mean, talk about, Naomi was talking about the heavy energy in Reno. Olympia is like that too. Olympia is like, I mean, in my experience, Olympia is not as, you know, hardcore because you can't gamble there. But there's definitely a vortex of some kind there that's pretty fucked up. All my grandparents are alive, but have had some health scares, and I want to visit them more. So this must be a great grandmother then, and they're showing me my grandma on my dad's side, so that makes me think that it must be from your dad's side. So is there a health issue or a health? Because that's the thing too, you guys. Here, this is going to be something that's going to flip your wig a little bit and might stir the noodle. In my experience, again, we don't share the same afflictions as our, even though our blood and bone comes from our families here, right? Like obviously, your avatar is from the blood and bone. But just because your dad has this or your mom has that, or you know what I mean, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to. However, you can manifest it into your reality if your mom is like, did you go and get your prostate checked? Did you go, you know what I mean? Like those kind of things. It's like, then it's like, oh, maybe. And then you start thinking about your prostate, then your prostate's, you know what I mean? So, I mean, this is real shit, right? So when whatever we're putting out, whether our thoughts or our words or all of the above, our energy, we can bring it to us. So don't bring yourself no lessons that you don't need to be learning. That's what I'm hearing from your spirit guide. But this grandmother energy is definitely coming in. So let's see what she has to say. You said all my grandparents are alive, but I had, okay, we're there. Olympia has a lot of dark, traumatic memories for me. I think I must have come for closure. Yeah, you know what? Wrap it up, tie it with a bow, make your peace, go down to the water, do a ritual, and get the fuck out of there. I just heard your higher self say Iowa City is not our jam. Is there another offer, or is it something that maybe it's just a placeholder? Maybe you're meant to go there and make some music, you know? So you pulled the animal, number 29. I'm excited to go there because that comes from, you have no idea. Okay. So 29 comes from the selves, the animal. I feel like this is gonna give you what you need. I don't know how to explain it, but I have a good vibe about it. You just like to go with the flow. Hello, Heaven's Daughter. Blessings, everyone around the world. Oh, welcome, Heaven's Daughter. Oh, welcome. I am Tallulah Kelly. I'm the magical medium. Welcome to our beautiful healing session today. We are taking questions. You may be our last one today, unless you just came by to say hello. So let's see. It went into the shadow, Jordan. When I was trying to find your card, it went to the shadow, the unspeakable, the unwelcome, the denied. So there's something in your shadow that's tied to Olympia. It says, when we're in light, we're revealing unconscious aspects of the self and the world. When we're in shadow, we're denying unconscious aspects of the self and the world. There's, I don't know if it's a book. It just says to go deeper into this energy. It says R. Johnson, Owning Your Own Shadow. So I don't know if that's a book. And then it says, in the shadow of the gods are the very gods themselves. Reflect on this statement by James Hillman in A Blue Fire. What do you despise about yourself? This is one for all of us, I think they're saying. So this is a question for all of us. And despise is a really heavy question. But is there anything about yourself? Maybe you're meant to close that door there. It says, by answering, you will move toward your shadow. It says, contemplate the following scientific observation. The closer an object, a person, place, or community is to the light, the longer the shadow it casts. That's interesting. So I'm hearing to bring light into the shadow, if that makes sense. It's time to bring the light into the shadow, Spirit said. Oh, wait, it's not 29. I'm looking at it backwards, or I'm looking at it with my numerology, that 1010, and that would be 21, actually. So 29 must mean something. Was there something that happened when you were 29, Jordan? I looked right at it and said 29, and I'm looking at it right now, and it literally, it's 19. It's XIX, the Roman numerals. I couldn't find it. I'm like, what's happening? The shapeshifter, the shaman, oh, the lover, the siren, and the animal. Okay, so here we go, Jordan. The animal, the beast, the wild one, the she-wolf. We are mammals. The hair on our chest and between our legs reminds us so. We try hard to deny our unrefined animalistic nature, yet through this archetype, we tap into power and direction. Activating the animal within means reawakening our relationship to nature in the most broad and embodied sense. Drinking from waterfalls, roaring at the moon, opening eyes underwater, eating berries from the vine. The life force of our planet begs us to set down the devices, the constraints, and the social constructs, and remember the warm blood that pulses through our veins. The animal longs for breath, food, procreation, and physicality. It wants soil under our nails and starlight on our skin. If this all sounds terribly unsophisticated to you, take note that it is said that when Buddha became enlightened, he roared like a great lion. So when we are in light of the animal energy, we're vital, we're elemental, we're alive, we dance with joy and ecstatic freedom. But when we're dark, when we're in shadow, we're in savagery, pent-up emotions, and we're lashing out. So, to go deeper, listen to the audio recording of Mary Oliver's... Wait, who did you say you were related to? Mary, what's her name? Isn't that weird that you talked about being related to that famous witch? And then it says, listen to the audio recording of Mary Oliver reading Wild Geese and repeat every morning for 1 week. Mary Parker. That's interesting, though. I mean, come on. What are the odds? Maybe that's why I saw Jesus when I saw you. Maybe you're a descendant, somehow, some way, maybe with the Marys. Maybe the Marys have it, Mary Magdalene, and I don't know. There's something deeper and greater. All I know is I hope that we know this before one or both of us crosses over, because that'll be so fun to know you all these years and watch you, that's so cool. No, I know Mary Parker. Like when you said it, I was like, oh, I've heard of her. Like I've, because I was like, Baba, my cat was Baba Yaga. Um, okay, so that's why the creator sent me here. Welcome. Why do you believe the creator sent you here, Heaven's daughter? You are welcome. If I'm doing the right thing at the right time. Oh, am I doing the right thing at the right time? Jordan said, that around the time I got established in Iowa City. Oh, so why did you come back here? If you were in Iowa City doing music and now you want to go back, I'm confused, but this isn't my story, it's yours. So the animal says, the animal demands we get comfortable in our own skin. The minute you accept, express, and celebrate the physical body, you tap into animal energy. Dancing is coming up. You're learning how people are in the world. Huh, that's awesome. I love it. Okay, so notice your resistance to the animal, Jordan. Notice your resistance to the animal within. Where does it come from? And what has it kept you from doing, wild one? I'm going to ask Spirit. I'm going to go a little bit deeper. Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for being here, Naomi. We send you love as well. So much love, light, and protection today. We love you. Welcome to the tribe. You're one of us. Wait till you meet Anna and Jessica. You're going to love them too. Thanks for showing up, Jordan. I always like when at least one of the all-stars show up. I call them my anchors. That's really cool. So thank you. Jordan, that makes sense. The resistance to the animal. Yeah. And you know what? That happens a lot. What are you in your 30s now? Every decade is going to come with its pluses and its challenges, right? Its benefits and its challenges. And I have to say, 30s, I thought the teenage years were rough. I thought the 20s were rough, but 30s are even more challenging, I believe, because it's like people expect you to be a certain way. Yeah, you're 33. So, it's like people, when they expect things from us or it's like we can get lost in that bubble. Oh, you're 33. What are you doing in your life? Where are you going? You're going to have kids. You're going to get married. Blah, blah. And it's like this old programming, this really, really old programming that we need to be this or we need to be that instead of just showing up and being ourselves, for ourselves, with ourselves, There's something really powerful about that divine connection. So allow your 30s to just unfold. And also, we're in a different time now, meaning like when I was in my 30s, it's a lot different than, I'm in my 50s now. So the world's changed a lot in the last 20 years, a lot. So 30s is really like your 20s. You're trying to figure things out. You're trying to figure out where you belong, where to go. Just don't put any pressure on it. Like Naomi was saying earlier, like just go with the flow. You'll know when to move or not. But it is still coming. So I'm going to ask them. Okay, so I feel like if you want to record there or if there's like a work there or something, it's fine. Okay, this card is sticking out. But I have to say, Jordan, I don't feel like you're meant to live there. And I don't know if it's forever. I don't know if it's just right now. Let me see if this is... So I just pulled a card, and this one's called the Sustainer. It's number 24, which is also the number 6. I want to see what the Sustainer has to say. Also, sometimes we want to run to something because it feels comfortable and it feels good, but that's not necessarily the place you're supposed to be. You know what I mean? So the Sustainer, the Peacemaker, the Upholder, the Preserver. The Sustainer, the second archetype in the trio of existence, works behind the scenes, tending to the tasks of life. They cultivate gardens, pay bills, keep the meals warm, and the mouth sweetly fed. The Sustainer is at peace in the process of life, knowing there is no start or finish to humble yet meaningful tasks. They have a natural inclination to nourish others, to archive, to preserve Earth's resources, to consider environmental impact, to see their role in the divine cycle of life. It's common for the Sustainer to become overworked, leading to resentment. Their tasks aren't glamorous, and therefore the Sustainer rarely receives the credit or attention. The sustainer longs to hold things in place so badly, especially relationships, that they resist necessary change. Take time with this archetype. It is within us all, and it needs our love. So when we're in light with the sustainer, we're feeling abundant, generous, supportive, and reliable. But when we're in shadow, we're feeling overworked, resentful, trapped, and tired. To go deeper, work with Lakshmi, Vishnu, or Demeter. And to go deeper, it says, take note of the difference between maintaining and sustaining. Which action describes your life more accurately? Sorry about that big truck. Okay, so take note of the difference between maintaining and sustaining. Which action describes your life more accurately? Are you maintaining or sustaining? And also even look up, like, what do those words mean? You know, like, look them up in the dictionary and look at how they apply to your life. Like, where are you in your existence? Contemplate what truly sustains you. Make a list. Notice how simple yet powerful those things are and spend time tending to them. You know, I never thought, you know, I've said this analogy so many times, but it's so perfect. I never thought that I would go from living in this luxury of life that I lived in to living in the life I live now. But it makes so much sense that I'm living the life that I am now. I had to strip away all that facade. I had to strip away all the, you know, I didn't really need to live in a high rise. I didn't really need to have a doorman. I didn't need to, you know, work that hard. I was working really hard to sustain that living, but it wasn't actually good for me. I had outgrown that living. My body was like, I don't want this. My body's like, I want to live in a tiny place and just keep that, you know, right? Like, so it's about the connection to earth is the first and foremost. And we've been for so long told, like, you have to do this to make money or you have to do that. But right now we're finally in the place astrologically and then some, where for the light workers, things are going to come easier. They are going to come more naturally. It's just that we were, you know, we knew that we had a purpose. We knew that we were meant to do this or we were meant to do that, or, you know, but when it wasn't happening and we kept trying and it wasn't happening, we're like, well, I'm just going to give up. And Spirit's like, that's why I've been pushing for everybody to come back and say, you know, this is who I really am. This is like when I wake up in the morning, how do I want, you know, when I go to the bathroom, what do I want it to look like? You know, when I get up to make my whatever in the morning, what do I want my kitchen, what do I want to greet me in the morning? When I go to sleep at night, what is the last thing I want to see? What's inspiring? What makes me feel good? Also, oh, you're most welcome. Oh, I just saw Heaven's Daughter. I understand, sister. Thank you. Yay. You're welcome. You know, it's like understanding our just every day, you know. Let me see if I can find it. I think it's in one of my notebooks. Hold on. Because I had this really great thing from one of my shamans. I just have to find the book that it's in. I don't think it's in this one. Is it in this one? One of the last times I did a reading with her, she gave me this advice and it was so good. She says, whenever you're feeling anxious or you're not sure where you're supposed to go or you're not sure what you're supposed to do, just breathe and go back to the basics. Bathing, sleeping, drinking water, meditation. And she was even so funny because she was really bold like me. And she goes, and taking a shit, just the basics, right? Like just going to the bathroom, like just like, you know, keeping your avatar alive and healthy. And that's when they come in. That's when the answers come in, when we're not trying to force it, because if we're in flow, then that means we're in divine timing. And if we're in divine timing, then we need to ask ourselves why why are we feeling anxious, or where are we trying to go, or where are we going to move? Sometimes it's easier to go back to a place that we felt happy. A long time ago, I was really unhappy where I was, and I wanted to move back to where I'd lived like 10 years before. And my mom said, you want to go back to a time and place that no longer exists. And I was like, what are you talking about? Because when I was living in LA in my 20s, my core group of friends and I, there was like about 8 of us, and we just loved each other, and like we hung out together, and we'd like have dinner parties and go to events together. And because we all worked in different facets of LA, sometimes we'd go to movie openings, or we just lived this kind of fun, charmed life. My first husband was a musician. He would play, like the House of Blues or whatever. We'd get to go to the green room. We're hanging out with celebrities. Like, we just lived this very charmed life. It was really fun and really cool. And I said to my mom, I just want to move back there. That's when I was my happiest. And my mom said, okay, this person doesn't live there anymore. This person got married. This person has a kid. You know what I mean? And she was just like, it's not going to be the way you think it is. You think you're just going to go back to that world. And I said, no, we're still initially like the same people. And she was right. She was absolutely right. I think if I had moved back there, I would have been chasing like this old energy that I felt there. Sometimes we are meant to go back, but if you are going back, you need to ask yourself why. And, if it's like a job and somebody offered it to you and you really loved living there, and it could be that, yeah, you needed to go back to Olympia because you had to do something else, but maybe you're supposed to go back there. You know what I mean? But always when you're going to do a move, especially an out of state or out of country, across the globe kind of move, you want to know with every fiber of your being that it's good. And also how you'll know that it's the right move is if everything falls into place. Because when I kept trying to move back there, I was like, okay, well, when I lived there, we all kind of lived within a certain radius of each other. So it was really cool. But then once like I wanted to go back and live there 10 years later, they had kind of like all moved out because they weren't really like in like LA, like Hollywood and like West Hollywood. And like we were like right on the other side of the valley in Sherman Oaks. Like we were in that little hub right there. But then one of our friends, moved to the valley, the far out in the valley. Then another friend of ours moved to Calabasas, you know what I mean? Which is like really far. And so then I was like, well, where should I move? I mean, and then I thought, well, maybe I should move somewhere in the center. So like, it'll just be easier for me to get to their house and their house. And it's like, and I realized I was planning my whole move around an old version of myself. I was planning my move around how I would be the easiest accessible for everybody else, being the sustainer, right? Like, how can I be of service? How can I, not realizing like I'm a medicine person, but not bringing the medicine where it needs to be. So it just wasn't aligning for me. No matter what I did, it just wasn't aligning. So when that happens, that's Spirit's way of saying, not now. And sometimes it doesn't mean no, it just means not now. You may need to go on another leg of your journey in another direction or go somewhere else. I mean, interesting that I read your thing and my first thing was, how do I get you up here? So, maybe we could find a way for you to come up and visit or something, because it is kind of magical. Not kind of, it's very magical up here where I live on the north side of the peninsula. It's really magical. And there's a lot of healers and light workers up here. It's a huge music, like Port Townsend's really big on music. Port Angeles has like a lot of live bands. And so I don't know why, but I feel like I was meant to share that with you. But, of course we have, it kind of sucks, but I think it's everywhere. We have our share of like the MAGA people. And then, cause the area I live in is so beautiful. So it's like really rich people live here, and they may not be on the, all sides of good all the time. They may be more ego driven, and that's okay. That's where they're at. But there's also a huge chunk of people up here that are very spiritually driven, very, 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 very spiritually driven. So, whatever, wherever you're meant to be or wherever you're, is where you're going to end up. But I just feel like I needed to say that to you. So maybe you just need to go back to those, another thing that she gave me some really great insight was every day when you wake up, before you get out of bed, whether you wake up to an alarm or you wake up naturally, give yourself 3 deep breaths before you start the day. And also she said, remember that you are what you think you are. You are what you think you are. You said, I love the sentimental. I would love to talk in person. I have so many things to tell you about. Conversation would be much easier all around. Yeah, I think so too. I was thinking that too. We'll have to have like a little powwow. Yay! All right. So, do you have any more questions, or you feel good, or you want to see what else comes up? Let me see if any more cards come out. That pile. Let me see if any come out of this pile. That feels good. Oh, you know what, Jordan? It just flipped over to the shaman. Yeah, you're just a healer. You're just a teacher. You're a shaman. You're a medicine person, you know? Like, I'm so glad. Oh, that makes me so happy, Jordan. I'm so glad that you're doing so well. That makes me so, so happy. You may be one of the most prolific healers I've ever met. And I know all of us have our own gifts and everything, but you're so special. I still think you have some type of tie that's deeper to Jesus than just being connected with your Christ consciousness. Oh, Jordan, I love that about myself. Yeah, you're awesome. And I love to hear you say that. Oh, yay. Oh, you're amazing. I think that's it for today, because I asked Spirit if they wanted me to go 2 hours today. And let me see. Do we have any more? Do we want to answer any more questions today? I think we're going to leave it here. Are we going to leave it here? Okay, we're going to leave it here, you guys. I've been going 2 hours and 45 minutes. I'm really tired. It's so hot. I feel very connected to Jesus and Mary Magdalene at the very least. Yes, Jordan, I agree. Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I would love, like, wouldn't it be so cool if they did like one of those lineage tests or whatever? You know, I feel like if and when you're meant to do that, it'll happen though, you know? Because I also think some of us, the reason why like we haven't made it big, or we're still in this what seems like a struggle phase, I think we're being hidden. It's the truth. Because the world is not ready. Not everybody in the world is ready for our magic and our, you know, we're earth angels. You know, some of us are true bona fide earth angels. We are the real thing. You know, so it wouldn't surprise me if like Michael is hiding us, or, you know what I mean? Like in his merry band of warriors, you know what I mean? Like it wouldn't surprise me in the least, because when I was growing up, not to throw flowers on myself, you know, but like, I've just always been that person. Like when I walk in a room, people, you know, I can go in with no makeup on and my hair and a bun on my head or whatever, and I'd still get the same reaction as if I walked into a room and I was wearing a gown, you know, and it was like all dolled up and beautiful. It's just this, you know, our light is our light, and it shines bright no matter how we use it or utilize it, or, you know, you can't dim it. You can't. So it wouldn't surprise me if some of us are being hidden a little bit until it's time for us to come out. I would be proud if I would be proud of it if Jesus was my higher self. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. When I've had my discussions with Jesus, we're all Jesus. We're Christ consciousness. We're love. You know? Oh, thanks for coming by, Heaven's Daughter. Everyone have a blessed day. The Creator is sister. Bring everyone together soon. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Yes, everybody has their own views of what they feel things are and where they come from, you know, like, so we honor you as you honor us. And, you know, everybody's information and downloads come through as they come through for them. So I would never say, you know, if that's what you believe, that's what you believe. Beautiful. But yeah, I feel, you know, when I was talking to Jesus, I said something like, are you really going to come back? Like in a human avatar again? Like, are you going to come back? And Jesus is like, I've been there, done that. He's like, you're there. Like, you guys are there. You know, like we are what he created when he was here. You know, Jesus is a consciousness. He's not a religion, you know, and of course they knew that that's what they were going to utilize him for, and blah, 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 blah. It's part of, and so it is written, you know, all of it, right? You can't say some of it's real and some of it's not. It's all real, and none of it is real. You know what I mean? That's what they said earlier, right? Like the true medicine person is the person who says, I don't know anything, right? Because that's when you know that they do. So it's just whatever you're connected to. Exactly. Heaven, sister, soul, right? It's our soul knowledge. And we also have, because there's different levels of consciousness, whether it's our subconscious or Christ consciousness, we have different levels of our consciousness, each of us. So if you talk to me 10 years ago and you talk to me now, I'm not the same person, right? And most of that is through because I have shifted and changed and evolved my consciousness. With each incarnation, we rise higher and higher and higher, and we get closer and closer back to self. You know, we are one, we are all connected. So, you know, I will never say to somebody, you know, if they're like, oh, that's what I believe in, well, then that's what you believe in, you know. I believe that it's an anomaly. You know, it's a division and a pairing of divine feminine and divine masculine. So, you know, it's just different. It's just different for everybody. So there's others that remember before they were born. Heaven's Daughter said, so there's others that remember before they were born. Yes, some do. That's right. In fact, you know, so many of the children, the autistic children that I've worked with, they're like these superior light beings that I have never even encountered, and they've never been human before. You know, it's like, and I had another medicine person that I worked with, and they were like, well, I've lived many lives, so I have all of this knowledge. I'm like, well, you can live 1,000,000 lives and still not have the knowledge. You know what I mean? You said, so there's others that remember before they were born. Where, please? I don't know what you mean by that. You know, and this isn't a competition, especially if you're in like the spiritual world and you're having a conversation with someone and they're like, oh, I'm more enlightened because I've lived many lives. I'm like, well, it's like, if there's that's ego. So if you're bringing the ego in there, it's like, no, none of us really know for sure. We just have our own experience. So in my experience, the energies and the entities that I've been channeling for years and years, they're so old, and it's like we're children. We're like little babies. And the little things that people, I mean, if you look at it like social media and our phones and all that, all it did was just make people more dense. It made them more like, you know what I'm saying? And I know that people don't like to hear that kind of stuff, but it's true. It doesn't make you, it's like, for some of us that take the internet and like, you know, certain things like, sorry, we've been having these sugar ants, and I was making that broccolini earlier, and I took a beautiful piece of the fresh broccoli and I put it on the altar, and all of a sudden I looked up and I was like, ah, shit, there's ants everywhere. I'm like, I thought they don't like that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to put some essential oils down to throw them off the scent. You guys hear where I'm going with that, right? You said, I have been trying to find anyone other than me that remembers the clouds. Ooh, in what respect? I'm about to close up, so that might be for next week. That might be a good issue for next week for us to talk about. I gotta take care of myself. When you say remembers the clouds, what do you mean in what respect? And, you know, what if you're the only one? What if you're the only one that remembers the clouds? Maybe you're meant to like help other people wake up to it. Before I was born on Earth, you remember the clouds? Oh, that's cool. Well, here, you know what's interesting is, in my experience as well, a lot of light workers don't remember anything. They don't remember much about their childhood at all for a reason, you know, like they're not meant to. Hold on, let me ask Spirit if they want us to get into this right now. Do we want to get into this right now? Next week? Okay, so we're going to leave it here, but that's a great place to leave it off. Let's all contemplate this. Who remembers the clouds before they were born? Heaven's Earth would like to know. So next week, next Sunday, we will be here live noon for Sacred Sunday. But like I said, I've been channeling for almost 3 hours, and I'm only human, and we're having a heat wave, and it's about 110 degrees in my house right now. So I'm going to just close it up and say thank you to all of you for being here today. Let me see, do we have anything else? Do we want to pull any more cards or do anything else before we leave right now? Nope, it's for another day. But we are going to talk about this next Sunday. I'm kind of excited to to talk about this subject. In the meantime, the ant is crawling over my phone. So work with the ant spirit medicine, the ant spirit animal. Work with the ant spirit animal over the next week. And we will resume here next Sunday at noon Pacific Standard Time live. And sometimes we go for 2 hours, sometimes we go for 3. We've had sessions where we go for 4 hours. I think one of the longest ones we went was 4.5 hours. You can go back and look on the playlist and look at Sacred Sunday, where we had different things going on. But sometimes I can do it, and sometimes I can tell spirits like, nope, you need to take care of you. So I love you for being here. Thank you, Su Ling. We love you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Heaven's Daughter. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Naomi. Thank you to everybody who was here today, because there's a few people that were here to be the little, shadow seekers too, and they helped us as well. So, and for those of you who couldn't come here live, we hope to see you next week or any other time that is convenient for you to join in when it aligns in the divine timing. And if not, they're recorded. So come back and see us when you can. Until then, check out this channel. I have other channels, Lula's Labyrinth and Baba the Great for my Maine Coon familiar who's passed over. But Lula's Labyrinth is, I do more fun stuff on there. It's more about my life. And of course, I'm a spirit worker, a light worker. So I have stuff on there, but then I also like to sing and act and do lip sync. So if you like fun and insightful stuff, go over there. But this channel is mainly to help heal and educate. All right, you guys, we love you so much. May you all be blessed this week and beyond with whatever you need, whenever you need it. I claim it for you and myself, and so it is. And I'd like to thank your higher self and my higher self and all of our guides that were here today. We will see you at the next session. We love you. Blessed be. Oh,